Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to the Distinct and Jovial podcast. My name is Dom, and I am joined once again by a wonderful co-founder, Jerry. Jerry, do you want to introduce yourself while I untangle myself?
I was just going to say, you're having a moment there, Dom. Hello and welcome everybody to this episode of the Distinct and Jovial podcast that probably won't actually be able to carry on recording because Dom is strangling himself with his
What's frustrating?
headphone cord.
So me and Jerry have the same headphones, and the cable comes out on the left-hand side of mine, which I think they do for you as well, Jerry. I'm mirrored on my screen, but my plug for the speakers is on the right-hand side, so it has to trail across me, and it's a fairly long cable. I could probably do something a little bit cleverer than that, but I have multiple options of where to put the cable, right? Because I've got a chair with a armrest, so sometimes I drape it onto my lap and then behind the armrest, and then across and under. But I also have a hook that's attached to my desk that I put my headphones on, that sits on top, which I also hook on there. But sometimes, and I don't know how it does, like cables are magical things, right? There is a magical cable fairy. And now we're going to go back some years in a minute. But for some reason, this cable still manages to end up like this, like kind of, you kind of twirls in a sort of bow like that. And to get it undone, you have to kind of hang your headphones so they spin, but not too fast because then they wrap themselves up the other way. So you have to kind of spin it as they drag on the floor. So as it gets to the middle point and it runs out of juice, it will slow down enough to just kind of undo itself.
You've done this before.
Yeah. And I've just noticed that it's quite twisted at the moment, but it's not going to do anything. But also, so as you can see, I've got it here, and it just let go, and as you might have just seen, it went like this. I was like, why is it? Somehow, despite the fact that it's on two hooks, it still dangles, and I can't stand it, like, tugging.
Yeah, it's horrible.
On the headset. That's the worst
horrible
bit.
It's a very long cable,
then we go,
isn't it? It's quite heavy as well if you let it dangle.
Yeah, I mean, these are proper, we've both got the 770s?
Yeah.
From, oh God, what's the brand called? It probably says it. What does it say?
Yeah, you're asking me with my eyesight. GT Pro, is it, no. Begins with a B, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, let's do that.
Oh my God. I've forgotten what they're called.
Beyerdynamic.
Beyerdynamic, that's it.
Yes, Beyerdynamic. Beyerdynamic. They're German. And they are wonderful, wonderful, comfortable headphones.
Amazing.
And not sponsored, although if they'd love to sponsor, that would be lovely. Because they do. I mean, and it's studio quality, so hence the heavy cable. But then we go back sort of like 10 years, and when you used to have like wired headphones for your iPod or your MP3 player or your Sony Walkman if you're old enough for that one.
I am old enough for that one. Definitely. And the same thing used to happen. You'd have to dangle the Walkman headphones.
Yeah.
And just let it spin out. But as you say, you can't let it, if you let it go too fast, then it spins the other way. Then you have to wait for it to spin back again. And then back again. And then back again.
Perpetual motion.
Yeah. So it's like,
And because of the laws of physics where like infinite motion is not possible except when you need that to untangle itself, and then it is possible and it's consistent and frustrating. Also, or you've carefully wound your headphones up and got them in a nice thing, and you stick them in your pocket and you pull them out in 16 knots that you've got to spend 4 hours untied.
So that is one of life's mysteries, isn't it? Yeah. You can neatly, whether it's hose, garden hose, whether it's a cable, whatever. As soon as you shove it into a bag or a pocket and then pull it out again, somehow in that moment that it was in that bag or pocket, it manages to just like snake itself through itself. And you're like, okay, thanks for that. And then spend the next 15 minutes trying to untangle it and unpick it.
Yeah. Or you've got like 6 knots in your thing and it's now about this long, so your MP3 player doesn't sit in your pocket as you walk along. The other one of life's mysteries is getting a sleeping bag and trying to put the sleeping bag away after you've used it back into those bags.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Never fits again.
No, never. Definitely not.
No matter what you do.
No.
Absolutely not. I just have another thought. Oh,
Disclaimer.
I mean, disclaimer. We're not sponsored. The invention of wireless headphones was one of the best things ever, especially for gym work. The amount of times the amount of headphones I killed where you're at the gym and you like crush the end of the
yeah.
wireless headphones. But soon I won't need headphones to work out. Spoiler. Anyway, today is the 20th of April. For those of you that celebrate Happy Easter Sunday, we're going to have a rant about it in a minute. Because it's interesting. I have just had a text I've just noticed from the legend wishing me Happy Easter, which I find quite interesting because it's not really something...
We'll get on to that. I have views on that as well. I don't really know what's happy about it. If you based it on the religious, what actually happened. If you believe what happened, if you're religious and you believe the events, you take it literally.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody's basically given up his son, who then allowed himself to be nailed to a cross by Romans, and left to die. And then we all go, "Oh, Happy Easter! Have a chocolate egg."
Yeah, and not. I don't.
Okay.
I have to admit, we didn't set it as a topic, and we probably should have said it as a topic, which is the kind of research because we're doing this bang on Easter. And this is the thing, though. Easter, right? Anyway, let's do a disclaimer, and then let's get into this because this could be good. It's episode 47. Just as a reminder to all, the views that we express on this podcast are our own, and they don't represent vaguely gestures anything else.
Organisations,
that's my new favourite.
People, animals, vegetables, minerals. Anything. Okay.
The vaguely gestures is my new favourite thing to kind of just type, right? Because somebody I've been talking to recently, and they were like, "Oh, like which bit of you is causing this?" And it's just like vaguely gestures, right? Just
this.
Where seems to be the problem? And you can't, the best way to just express it is, in quotation marks, vaguely gestures.
Keeps it nice and broad.
It's fine. Right. We're going to start this with Room 101. We've put Easter trading hours, but I think maybe we need to delve in a little bit into Easter because there are many things I don't understand about it. I'm just, the more you've said. Why chocolate? Why does it move?
Why does it move?
Why is it a thing to celebrate?
Right.
Well, I suppose celebrating the resurrection, I can understand, and I'm not going to get into religion because it's not something I'm into, and I don't want, and I think people should be allowed to believe what they're allowed to believe. But why chocolate? Why eggs? Why Easter Bunny? Where did that come from?
Okay, well, the eggs one is literally the only one I can answer because the egg symbolises new life.
That's only if you believe that the egg became before the chicken.
Which apparently it did. That's been proven. Apparently scientists have said.
Yeah.
The egg came first.
Laura, you can tell us if we're right there.
Yeah, there you go.
You are a science.
Yeah, come on. We need the answers. We need it now. The egg came first. Egg symbolises life. That literally, my knowledge stops there. So, what exactly are we celebrating, though? Because I would rather just not die, celebrate the fact that I didn't die, to have to then be reborn.
Yeah. I still don't... But why chocolate?
The white chocolate eggs? I do not know. Probably Germany. Do you know all these things start in Germany? Father Christmas started in Germany. The hamburger was invented in Germany.
Samwise, maybe you're the expert here.
So between Samwise and Laura, we'll get all the answers to all our questions.
Oh, God, can you imagine them both on the podcast at the same time? I would not survive. Based on the bullying that you and Samwise did to me, and you and Laura did to me separately, I would be scared.
I think if that ever happened, you'd just need to introduce the podcast and then just, hang up.
That would get through the intro. Just let Evan Hooper on.
And then we'll give you a heads up when we're getting towards the end, and then you can dial back in again and do an outro.
Yeah. So I just like very quickly, like it's like eggs. Like there's a lot to do with the eggs, right? Eggs itself became a symbol of the resurrection. Just as Jesus rose from the tomb, the egg symbolizes new life emerging from the eggshell. In the Orthodox tradition, eggs are painted red to symbolize the blood that Jesus shed on the cross. I'm still not seeing why chocolate.
I don't know. I suppose it's better than eating raw egg, I guess.
Oh, I suppose, actually, no, it is the end of Lent, isn't it?
Oh, I forgot about Lent.
Because yeah. Because you start Lent with the best holiday ever, which is Pancake Day. Name a better holiday than when I get to eat pancakes.
That's true. Well, it'd be the only thing that would make that day better is if it was a national holiday.
Well, like a bank holiday, like you get the day off.
Yeah.
even though it's a Tuesday.
It doesn't matter. Look, so many different countries just have like random days off.
It's true. We're the only country that has them on Mondays and Fridays.
Yeah. Every other country just sort of will have a festival or whatever. If it falls on a Thursday, it falls on a Thursday. You just go,
yeah.
Okay.
The only disappointment they do have is if it falls on a Sunday, it falls on a Sunday.
And then they don't tend to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than France, that have the entire of August off.
I'm saying nothing.
I want that holiday.
I'm saying nothing. What's good about that, though, is it's not actually a public holiday per se. It's just one of those things that everybody agrees. It's like a national thing that everyone knows you're going to be off in August.
One of the interesting things that I like about the French culture. So there are several things that seem to be kind of coherent with being English or British or whichever one you identify as, which is ensuring that we beat the French at rugby and fish and chips. Right, that seems to be like the two synonymous things.
Yes, that's about right.
I'm pretty sure Chat Stevie T can definitely agree with me on that one.
He would. I think he would.
But they have a significantly better attitude, I suppose is a term, to work. So in French law, it's illegal to contact like people outside of work hours. Lunch times are there is a law around contactability outside of like working hours, and I mean less so. I suppose it depends. Like if you're working like an office job and things like that. I mean, we're very fortunate that we have quite flexible time, which I quite like. Right, I like the fact that like if I'm feeling like not with it at 3:00, right? Let's just take an hour to just kind of reset and then do another couple of hours and work till 6 or whatever it needs to be. But also that does mean that sometimes it's a case of, well, this has gone down at 7 p.m. You need to come and fix it, etc., etc. So, whereas the French are a lot more, I suspect it probably applies a bit more to people those are hourly, like weighted, right? Once you've got your shift, you're not allowed to be contactable if you're not working your hourly rate, your time that you've got. So that's very much protected. Then you've got they're quite keen on like lunch and bits and pieces like that, and then they have a significantly more amount of bank holidays throughout the year, and it's kind of accepted that during like August, most places in France almost completely shut down, or most non-tourism, I suspect, places would shut down, and those that probably work in the tourism industry probably take that time in like December sort of thing, and it's probably expected of them to do that because and I suspect that probably on the happiness index they're significantly higher than we are. So
maybe not. That'll be an interesting one. Maybe an idea for the next podcast. We look at the happiness index of different countries.
Oh, I can look at it now, probably.
And literally go through like 200 countries and try and come up with our own reasons why we think they're...
Well, I know what the top one is, even without looking.
Denmark.
No, that's
Sweden.
second. But you're in the right area.
Finland.
Sweden is 4th. Finland is 1st.
Wow.
I want to have a look for... we are 20th.
So despite the fact that Finland only gets about 30 minutes of sunlight a day, and temperatures don't get any higher than 8 degrees, they're the happiest.
France is below us. So
there you go.
I've been wrong with my point proven. They are 0.1 behind us. And we are a whole point behind. Yeah, they're 6.61. We are 6.75, and the top is 7.74.
There you go.
Interesting. But yeah, so the top 4 are Scandinavian. Well, 2 are Scandinavian, I believe. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden. All in the Northern Hemisphere. All bordering the Arctic Circle. So this whole sunlight is a killer. Potentially not. 5th is Israel, which I have to admit I don't know much about Israel. For me, you only ever see Israel when they're in the news for a bad thing. So I don't know anything about Israel. And then 6th is the Netherlands.
Okay, where does Denmark sit in that?
2nd.
Oh, sorry, Denmark's 2nd. Okay.
Yeah. Top 10. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Israel, Netherlands, Norway, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Australia. Top 10.
Australia? Wow. Okay.
And we are 20th. So yeah,
Actually,
I don't know how we managed to get from Easter to that.
I don't know, but... Yeah, I don't know. So we're talking about holidays.
Yeah.
We went on a proper tangent because you said it's the best holiday in the world ever, Pancake Day.
Tuesday
But it's
the
not.
best holiday, pancake.
You do realise you can eat pancakes any day you want, right, Tom?
Yeah, I am aware of that. But it's just
Like you're not sick.
it's an excuse, isn't it? I'm not sick. Did you say?
And unable to operate a frying pan. Unsupervised.
There's definitely sometimes it's like, should I be allowed to operate a frying pan?
That's another question altogether. So, for example, there's nothing to stop you from having pancakes today.
There is, which is the reason why we're having a rant. Because I have no eggs in the flat to make pancakes, and everything's shut.
Oh, damn it! Okay, well, if you had planned, well, you could get eggs tomorrow. You can make pancakes tomorrow. Oh, don't get me started on trading hours. Oh, we are going to get started on trading hours.
About.
I know. It's bugged the hell out of me for forever. It really does not make any sense anymore. Not in this day and age. To have shops closed on a Sunday. Yeah. I mean, forget the fact that it's Easter Sunday. Just any Sunday.
Yeah.
We can only be open from 10 till 4. Why? Based on what? If you're going to be allowed to open whatever hours you want. Why do you have to restrict it?
The bit that confuses me is it's only restricted to certain shops.
Okay.
It's only restricted to big shops, which I don't understand.
No, but small shops, like if you go down the high street on a Sunday, none of them will be open after 4 o'clock. So the only things that you'll find which are open are maybe a Tesco's Express, which will be open till whatever time, Tesco's
11.
Metro, 11.
Yeah.
Or petrol stations, and everything else is closed.
Yeah.
Which is like pointless, because we only get 2 days off, and this is what I don't understand. We only get 2 days off in a week, right?
Yeah.
So surely it would make sense to have everything open, normal hours, on a Tuesday, on a Sunday, and then maybe just choose like a Monday or a Tuesday or something where you've got reduced hours. I don't know if that's something that you have to do. But if you think about it, you can't go to the dentist, you can't go to the doctor, you can't get your car fixed. You can't get your tyres changed on a Sunday. You can't.
Yeah,
There's literally nothing that you can do on a Sunday because it's closed.
It's
Why? And so that one day that people need you to be open, is that, God, I've only got 2 days. I've got to get all of this stuff done in 2 days. And actually, you know, what if you thought, so you spent the whole of your Saturday gardening, sorting stuff out around the house, whatever. Your Saturday's basically taken up. You didn't get a chance to do what you wanted to do. So Sunday then becomes that one day that you think, the world's my oyster. Do you know what? I'd love to make a day of it, go to a shopping centre. I don't know, go to West Quay, go to Blue Water, whatever. And just make a day of it. I just want to do a whole day of just like shopping, go to restaurants. You can't do that.
No.
It's a 10 till 4.
It feels very in like, because I'm not sort of sat here like, I agree with you 100% wholeheartedly, but I'm not sat here going people shouldn't be allowed time off in the hospitality industry and things like that, right? Because let's take for example let's take for example like a mechanic's place where you were like, when can I get my tyres done? Sort of things like that, right? And for myself and you, we are in a very, luxurious position. Right? We could probably be flexible. Like, you know, if my car needs to go into the garage, I'm very fortunate that it's right next to the office that I work at. So I can drive it to the garage and then I can go into the office and then I can pick it up at the end of the day. Fine. Easy peasy. But let's take, for example, and we've now had two podcast guests on who have worked in the teaching industry. It's not necessarily teachers, but worked in the teaching industry. They can't do flexible time, right? So having like a garage that perhaps works on a Sunday would be useful, and them having either a random day off, or you know, they have different mechanics in at different times to kind of deal with, you know, different bits, or however the company wants to pay it. But let's just say they randomly had the Tuesday off, and that mechanic needs to visit the dentist. Well, then hopefully the dentist wouldn't have the same Tuesday off. They could go to the dentist on that Tuesday, or because they still get 2 days, they could go on the other day, right? Yeah. For me, it feels a bit archaic to have the law dictate what you can do rather than companies being allowed to perhaps flex, because shops and stuff like that aren't doing very well. But maybe their Monday trading hours, or you know, their Monday sales are terrible. But if they were allowed to open up from 8 till 5, let's just say 8 till 5 on a Sunday, they could make what they make on that Sunday, or what they make on 3 days in the weekday. So for me, it's not about necessarily being like, thou must be open on a Sunday. It should be a case of, well, let me give you the flexibility and freedom as a person that runs a business or person that works in hospitality to go, actually, we make a fucking killing on Sundays. Like, let me open.
Right, so where I live is on the coast. It's a tiny little seaside town, and people flock here, especially when the weather improves. You just literally get tens of thousands of people that descend on the place over the course of a weekend. So if I had a store on the high street, the 2 days I'd want to be open all day and maximise sales would be Saturday and Sunday. So if I had, for example, an ice cream parlour or a toy shop or whatever, I would want to be open Saturday, Sunday. If I wanted to, that would be great. And if somebody said, well, you have to close your store or have reduced hours on one day during the week, I'd say, fine, I'll do reduced hours on a Monday then. Because why wouldn't you? Because everybody goes back to work on a Monday.
So I'm just looking now. I just thought the Sunday Trading Act. It's only from 1994. Sunday trading laws restrict large shops over 280 square meters to a maximum of 6 continuous hours of opening between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Sundays.
Based on what?
So that's why not.
Based on what?
I don't. Small shops under 280 have no restrictions and can open for any duration on a Sunday. So actually, your ice cream parlour, what you're talking about, is probably pretty okay. But if you were like, but maybe you had a franchise ice cream parlour that was massive, I don't know.
Wait 1 second. So just so I've got this right. So all of these small shops that close, some of them are closed all day on a Sunday. Some of them do the reduced hours. They don't have to.
They don't have to. So this is what I mean, right? So maybe it's about, that's what I mean about perhaps flexibility. Maybe they don't take much. Well, I think that's probably the reason why, because we've got the Sunday trading laws so embedded into our mind that people just go, oh, just assume the shop's not open. And then shops have gone, well, I don't make much money on a Sunday, so I'm just going to close on a Sunday now. And then it's like a perpetual kind of self-aggrandizing kind of thing that sort of happened.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
But 280 square meters is not as much as you think.
No, it isn't. I'm trying to picture that. No, it's not.
Because what's that? Meter by meter. So 4, 16. God, it's got to be. God, you got to do it to the power of, haven't you? So you've got to find a square root of 280.
Good luck with that.
I'm on 16 by 16 meters. So what's that? It's 52 foot.
Okay. Well, that's most of the small shops, for example, in the high street where I live.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be any bigger than that.
Yeah. It's interesting. The one thing I noticed on there is it said they have to be. The one I don't get is Easter Sunday. I don't know why they have to be closed on Easter Sunday. That's actually a law.
Based on what?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. I don't know.
Oh, it's just so ridiculous. It's so arbitrary as well, isn't it?
It feels archaic.
It's archaic. It's arbitrary. You have no logical reason for that. You just go, oh, well, it's Easter. It's a religious day, and you all have to close by law. What?
Yeah.
Well, what if I'm not Christian? What if I'm not a practicing Christian?
Yeah. And it's the same for Christmas Day as well.
And Christmas Day as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were just talking before. I am working tomorrow, right? We've got flexible bank holidays, which I think is the best thing ever. And everyone would be like, why? And I'm like, because I get to use the holiday when I want to use it instead of a designated day. I have a day where 80% of the people are also off, which means that I don't have messages being pinged at me for 9 hours a day. I don't have 9 hours of meetings in the day or whatever it needs to happen. So that I actually get to do some like deep work. We'll see how much deep work I actually get. It's probably going to be just catching up on the admin that I just haven't got done recently. Trying to set myself up for success for the rest of the week, which is looking horrendous. And so, like, and hopefully just recuperating some energy while still working compared to like the normal draining 17 hours that we normally get. So it's, it just feels like a law that restricts flexibility. I think that's the reason why I'm so against it and why I think it should be put in Room 101. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people on the podcast that are going to disagree with me, or disagree with us, I should say.
It's tough. We hold Easter. We've got it in our hands.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to throw it into Room 101, whether you like it or not. It's going in, everyone.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
I think more so because I don't, chocolate is not something that I can eat too much of these days. Fun story that came up the other day. Do you remember the lint bunnies that you can get? Those chocolate lint bunnies. Yeah. Well, I took one of them and hit it with a rolling pin. Note to self: make sure that you leave the wrapping on when you do that, because if you don't, chocolate everywhere.
That's a rookie error.
Like China.
That's a rookie error. Really?
Shatters like China.
China. You unwrap this. China. You unwrap the bunny and then smashed it with a rolling pin. Dom.
Yeah.
We're going to have words.
Chocolate bunny, right? An actual bunny. Let me just stipulate that.
Oh, we would definitely have to have words if it was a real bunny.
Yeah, before someone
Live.
reports me to a, what is it? RSPCC or what? Is that the right one?
RSPCA.
RSPCA,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're thinking you're crossing that with your NSPCC with RSPCA.
Yes, I realised that.
Can't believe you smashed it without the wrapper on. That's a rookie error.
That is a rookie
error. Can't believe
Goes
it did
everywhere.
that. China. It broke.
I can't believe you're doing a
It
trumpet
broke
reference.
like China.
China.
Mr. President, why did you say that?
This is coming from you with your stars and stripes shirt on.
Okay, there are no stripes on this shirt, just the stars, because we're all stars. China.
Is it a silk shirt or is it
Silk? Dom, what?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the hell? What is
Is
it
it
like
like-
living some extravagant Hugh Hefner
Yes,
lifestyle?
it's you.
Okay.
You are a fashion guru.
Thank you. I'll take that. But look,
I mean,
I'm
compared
not.
to me.
Well, I'm not a fashion guru by any stretch of the imagination. No, this is definitely not shirt. This is pure 100% unadulterated cotton.
I'd like to point out I can say you're a fashion guru because I have realised as I logged on that I'm wearing the same T-shirt that I was wearing on the last podcast.
Is it exactly the same? Because you have that T-shirt, but in about 114 different colours.
No, but this is actually one of my favourite colours that I've got it in. So I have that in. I have 2 dark blues. I have 2 of this light blue, but the difference between them is one's got a black logo and one's got a white logo.
Oh, there you go.
And then I have the purple, the red, the orange, and I think that's it at the moment. But I try and... Right, I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because I've been heavily criticised by some friends. I try and do it so I've got less decisions in the morning, right?
Okay.
Like we were talking about the podcast before about my lack of energy at the moment, and we'll go into it in a minute in a couple of the topic events later. But like I'm fed up of like, oh, what shall I wear today? What shall I wear today? What shall I wear today? Whereas now I just go, well, it's all the same. It's just a different colour. Which colour do I want? Which colour is clean? That's normally the way that it goes, right? Which one's actually in the wardrobe and clean? But they're all like the dry fit material, which means they dry really quickly, which is just easier rather than bits and pieces. And also all other T-shirts like that are, well, they're not cotton, are they? What's the term? They're polyester. They all need ironing, don't they, to look even remotely good, and CBA with that, whereas these don't need ironing ever. So, you tell me,
You put forward a strong case there. It's
I've put
difficult
forward a
to
strong
argue
case.
with that.
However, and this is my friend, and she says, and this is also my friends that hated my hat that I wear at summer camp. I was like, but it's practical, right? It's got a brim all the way around, so you don't get a burnt neck. So, but you look like 50 years old. I don't care. They're
Hey,
like, you are never going.
I'm
You're
in my
never
50s.
going to.
What are you trying to say?
Exactly, right? So they have bought me baseball caps, which I hate because they make my ears poke out, but whatever. And I'm like, and it's like sacrificing. I have to sacrifice who I am for fashion, and they're like, you won't find a partner. Like, I'm not looking. Like, how many times do I have to tell this to people? I'm not looking. My life is complicated enough. Oh, but it'd be easier. It isn't. It isn't at the beginning. Right?
I don't
can guarantee.
think. Hang on. I don't. This is a very tenuous link here. I don't think it's going to make much difference. You know, it's like, oh wow, I'm now having to beat all these women off with a stick because they're mobbing me.
Back, I say,
Back. Stop feeling claustrophobic because you wear a baseball cap versus a wide-brimmed hat.
That is their logic.
No, I
Not to call them out, and I know they listen to the podcast, but
and I really don't think women are that shallow that they go, oh, look at him with his wide-brimmed hat. I'll never
No, it's
talk
true.
to him. Whereas they go, oh wow, look at him with his baseball cap on. Oh, definitely going to go over and say hello. Fuck's sakes. No, that's very crumbly, flaky logic.
Well, maybe we should get them on.
I think we
Ask
should.
them.
I'm saying this from the perspective of somebody who, I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to wear. Not a lot of time, but I do put time into that. And I sort of think, well, does that shirt go with those trousers? Is this combination going to work?
But you are a smartly dressed man. Like when we come into the office, I look like this, and you are dressed to impress. Oh, you've come in a waistcoat before.
I do like a waistcoat. I do. Yeah, I think when I was in my late teens, I saw somebody once. I think what triggered it was I saw somebody once in London who's probably about my age, late teens, early 20s. And he was wearing a waistcoat, a tie, jeans. And he even had those clips that you get on your shirt, that you put on your shirt to keep your sleeves up. Like it was a proper old-fashioned, And I looked at it, and he was rocking that look. Like it was like a Peaky Blinders look, but it was way ahead of its time, right? So this is back in the 80s, and I thought, geez, that's pretty cool. If you can wear that. So who I would say is the definite purveyor of who's got really good taste in terms of fashion is Pistola.
Oh, yeah. So my only counter to that, right?
To
those types of things.
Pistol?
Not
counter. Dress even.
No. He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? And as a straight male, I can say that with he looks amazing every time that I've met him. He always hands down. But he pulls it off what appears to be effortlessly.
Yeah.
Because he'd be the type of person that have a couple of buttons undone at the shirt, the sleeves just casually rolled back, right? And he'd just look effortlessly cool. And I don't have the body shape for it. I don't.
He's very, very slim. He's definitely got that.
Yeah, but he's also not abnormally tall.
No, he's one of those annoying people that you could dress him in. He could wear any his frame. Yeah, his frame. See, yeah. I'm not like that. Pistol is like
wrong.
That.
You are.
I'm not.
No. You have a much better frame than I do.
No way. Don't give me that.
Yes. Because so you have a similar. The reason why I compare you to Keanu Reeves so much is because you have a similar frame and build to Keanu Reeves in terms of the width of your shoulders in comparison to your height. And I can say that as somebody that, this is going to sound really bad, looks down on you, right? I'm a giraffe, right? Whereas I really struggle because to get a shirt or t-shirt that fits me, like condenses around me, so to speak, it's too short. And it doesn't go down to my hips or my waist.
Right.
So I have to wear this is the reason why this one, put it into perspective, like my shoulder is here, but the line of the shoulder is out here.
Oh, yeah.
You can just see that. So that's what it is to do. I've got massive traps for a person that is there, which means that as soon as I relax, I've got this really big slope. And then I've got a neck that is the same width as my head. Whereas most other people do that, and then at the moment where I'm not quite the shape or size that I want to be, I'm just a line the whole way down that currently bulges out of my hips at the moment because I store the fat on my body. Obviously, traditionally as a guy, you store it on your belly, but then I also store it on the sides of my hips as well. So if you look at me dead straight on, I also bulge that way. And then I have ridiculously thin ankles, which means that even if I wear skinny jeans, it's still baggy around the ankles. But I also have a massively long inside leg, so trying to get jeans. So all my shapes and sizes don't work. And the problem is, because my neck's the same width as my head, so this is I've got a 16-inch neck. But then I have sleeves on my shirts will then come down to here. because my arms aren't that long.
Yeah, but
I've got like no torso.
Well, wait one second. Okay. But I understand those struggles, but I have the same struggles. I'm a 15 and a half neck. But my arms aren't long, so I have to buy jackets and shirts that are shorter sleeve. So you have to be careful about what you shop for. If you just get like a standard, there's like a one size fits all. If you get like a 16
it doesn't
collar,
fit anybody.
well, if you get like a 16 collar, so the way, I mean, I get why they do it. I've got a 34 waist. Technically, sort of between the 33 and the 34, but you can't really get 33 and a half.
No, same here.
Right? So if I get 33, it's like, ooh, I'm going to have to breathe in a bit. If I get 34, it's fine, but then that can be a bit loose and that can be a bit annoying. And so I've got 34 jeans. So I got some really nice Ralph Lauren jeans years ago that are 34 waist. But basically they're just a bit baggy round the back, right? So you sort of go, oh, I needed to get a 33, but a 33 then would probably be just right around the back, but it would be a bit tight on the waist. But the other thing is, if you tend to get something which is a 33 or a 34 waist pair of trousers or jeans, they just assume, oh, well, then you're going to be 6 foot or 6'1". I'm not. So then you have to get something which is 33, but with a 29. Which I'm actually a 29 and a half inside leg. That's not easy.
So it's interesting. I then sit the other side.
Yeah, you're the other way
because they assume 6 foot, and I'm 6'3". But also, I've got 6'5" legs, right? And what I mean by that is most 6'3" people have about 32-inch size lengths. I've got 36-inch
so that
size legs.
The problem.
So I've got a massive problem. I don't know. We've managed to get onto fashion.
Yeah,
weird coincidence. How we managed to do this.
Because you pointed out my shirt. That's why we're going to do proper tangents.
That's because I was taking the piss at me. Right. So what I found really interesting with that is, used to buy Peacocks, like jeans, right? They're dead cheap, 20 quid, right? I'm currently wearing some, and I buy 34 long, right? So they're a little bit loose on the waist, but that's actually because I store my my fat on my hips and my arse, not my belly as much. Actually, it fits around the arse, so the actual waistband is loose, but the jeans are tight on my glutes, right? And if I go and do too much exercise, my thighs expand, so I can't get into jeans if they're not a little bit stretchy. And the long used to be about 33, 34, which means if I wear my jeans on my hips, which most people do, people don't wear them up on their waist, actually they're about right. They kind of come to the ankle without scrunching up, right? But it's Peacocks, right? So despite the fact that it says it's a 34-inch waist, I genuinely have got some before which are 28, and I've had some which are 37, right, on the waist. And then the length difference have been ridiculous. They have no consistency. So I went, right, I'm going to risk it. And I went to a place called Too Tall, and I bought 34, because I thought, I'm probably more nearer a 35 length, and that's probably going to assume that you wear them on the waist. And they're too long, right? Amazingly, they're too long, despite the length of my leg, just obviously the way that I wear my trousers, without literally hoiking the trousers up to my waist, and then it feels like you're being garroted up your groin with the trousers. Or they wrinkle at the bottom, which I think is a big no-no, or I don't know. I don't quite know.
Whoa. Wait 1 second. Why do you think that's a big no-no?
Well, I don't know. This is the thing. I am not a fashionable guy, right? If you go back 3 years ago or pre-pandemic, like everybody was coming in and like showing your ankles was cool, and you had like those turn-ups and stuff like that. And nowadays people they've gone back to is it bootlegged or
bootleg
bell jeans?
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be the in thing, and I never could pull them off. And I'm sure in 3 years' time we'll go back to skinny jeans and something like that, like and I mean like really skinny jeans and stuff like that. And I'm like, so yes. My point, going right back to the original point is, and apparently my camera is fuzzing me up today because stuff like that. My real point around it is fashion trends constantly change. So I have slipped into, I work from home, right? I've just bought a house. Woohoo! Go into that in a minute. Where I'm also gonna be like building a gym and stuff like that, which means I'm gonna spend even more time at home than I already do. Right. So when I go out to go shopping, I don't need to be a fashionista, but also I'm not a type of person that goes out in jogging bottoms, right? I just need a pair of jeans that fit comfortably. But trying to find a pair of jeans that fit comfortably in this day and age is not possible. So I just do my best with what I'm given without spending $4,000 on a pair of jeans, which I'm not willing to do.
All I'm going to say is Marks and Spencer's.
Everybody raves by Marks and Spencer's, but I'm not yet convinced.
Why? They're great.
Don't know. To be fair, my suit, my fitted suit that I have been given a lot of compliments in, that when I was in shape and fitted me, I did look good in there.
Right.
And that was full 3-piece. That was
Is that the navy
blue.
one? Yeah, the navy suit.
Yeah. So my dark navy suit with my red waistcoat. I've got a silver tie. Yeah, and then blue. Very dark, very, very dark blue jacket and trousers.
Yeah. Yeah, Marks and Spencer's. Marks and Spencer's is great. I've got some...
And I've got...
yeah, sorry.
Black... Is it black Chelsea boots, I think they are?
Oh, yeah, with the zip down the side.
No zip.
Oh, no,
They're
stretchy. Yeah.
But I don't like shoes that come under my ankle. I have to admit, I prefer shoes that come above my ankle.
Okay.
Always have done.
Right, so Chelsea boots with jeans will always naturally make your jeans bunch up at the bottom, and that's fine. As long as they don't bunch up too much.
Yes, and it's finding a balance. I don't know. I'm not a fashionista, and I've said to these people, right? So they've said to me, "We want to take you shopping," and I'm like, "Cool, okay."
Oh my god! Right.
But fine, we'll do that. But I guarantee you won't. There won't be. I don't think there'll be anything that you'll find that will make me look good because of this bit. It's because of this bit. It's my shoulders.
I think you should take them up on the challenge. I think it'll be like an episode of Queer Eye.
Should we record it?
I think you should. Yes.
And upload it as a podcast episode.
I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
Full vlog.
Yes. Let's do it.
I'd have to come back here and do a fashion show for the podcast.
That would be amazing.
Do it. That's going to be hell to edit because I'm the one that edits.
We have properly gone off on some tangents here. I love
it. Yeah. We've been recording for 48 minutes.
Nice,
well done us.
Nice.
This is nice, though, right?
It is lovely.
I just want to. I'm going to tangent again. Right? We've done a lot of episodes with guests, and this is the first time I feel like me and Jerry have just. I feel like I'm just speaking to Jerry.
This is
pretty. Recording
at times.
Yeah,
this is. I was looking at some of the topics, by the way, you highlighted. I saw the Easter one. I was looking forward to having a roundabout. I looked at one of them and went, "Whoa, heavy on a Sunday."
Oh yeah, I got rid of that. I decided I.
Oh, you have as well. I've just gone back to the document, and it's like, oh yeah, that's disappeared.
Yeah, I got rid of
okay,
it.
nice, nice.
Because I have strong opinions on that, and I feel like that would bring the tone of the podcast down.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was just like, funny thing was when I looked at the document yesterday, I was like, yeah, I'm not saying anything on that topic. I'm just not. I was like,
so I removed it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
we're not here to be controversial. We're here to be jovial.
Nice.
Well, no, we can be controversial, but we're controversial about the light topics.
Yeah, you don't want to get too heavy with it.
Because who's going to be affected by the Easter trading hour rant that we've had?
Only the Easter Bunny and possibly Jesus, and maybe people.
But even people. Even people that we're not having a go at people celebrating Easter. Like, you do you, right?
Fill your boots.
I've seen loads of fill your boots. I'm just somebody that just thinks that the Easter trading hours or Sunday trading hours in general needs to be put in room 101 because it just winds me up.
Exactly.
I hate it when I get to 4 p.m. on a Sunday. I think, rubbish. I haven't got that. I'll just pop to the shop.
I know, that's literally the most frustrating thing. So, if you have to do something, for example, in the morning. So let's say by the time we finish recording this podcast, I then decide, I'd like to go to shopping centre. By the time I get there, I'll only have about an hour.
It won't be open. It's Easter Sunday.
Well, yeah, I know. But hypothetically, let's put aside the fact that it's Easter. Yeah, I mean, it's Easter. Even if I want to do that, I can't do anything. Nothing's open. So what do I do? What do you do? And if it's chucking it down with rain, what do? So you can't go out anywhere to sit somewhere or enjoy anything because everything's closed whilst it's peeing down with rain. So, and this is why I hate Sundays. I just hate Sundays. So you literally just almost wishing the day away, knowing that you're going to have to go back to work on the Monday. What the hell?
Yeah, then you get to 5 p.m, you get the Sunday scaries, and that's it.
And that's it. Game over. Exactly.
Game over, man.
Game over. Dude.
Right, I've mentioned it. So the second event, probably the biggest thing is, I've bought a house.
Woohoo! When you said I mentioned
wood.
it, it's like I mentioned it once. I think I got away with it. Yeah.
Where's that from?
That was Faulty Towers. I suddenly realised I'm probably not going to say the full thing. Anyway, sorry. Back to the house.
Great comedy of its time.
Of its time, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the way that I sit with most of these things, right? You see all these Disney programs, and people go, "Oh, they've put like a warning on the front of it that this comedy was of its time," because it was, and I think that's okay. But I also don't think you shouldn't censor it. You should just accept that that's what it was like in 1966
can't go back in
when
time.
Snow
You
White
don't want
came
to
out.
eradicate history, and you can't go back in time to change anything. So just deal. Nobody wants to deal with anything anymore.
Learn
do they?
from it.
Nobody wants to deal with anything. What do? Do you not show any footage of the Second World War that's got Hitler in it? Because you go, what are you going to do? Pretend it didn't happen?
We absolutely should be at the moment, based on the way that some people are acting, shouldn't we?
Yeah, don't even.
This is what happened. He killed millions of people.
Yeah, and you have to learn from
Can we not?
You have to learn from it. But I'm just surprised that there isn't somebody out there that's going, "Oh, I'll take offence." There was a documentary and they were showing Hitler, and I find that offensive. It wouldn't surprise me. This is where we're at.
Oh,
now.
there probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, house.
I bought a house. Woo! Well, and touch wood, everything goes through. I did have a notification about the searches coming back soon.
Nice.
So I've still got a few more bits to do. But yes, I have. I officially have a mortgage. I'm officially an adult. At the grand old age of 33.
Congratulations. Careful what you wish for.
Scary. Oh, God, Bennett. Well, weirdly, I'm in a 40-year mortgage.
That's insane.
So, it's all right. It's the repayment plan. I've got a plan on the repayments. But yes, going to be paying a lot of money over a lot of time.
The best way to do it is you need to rob some banks with anything that you got left over. So let's say you managed to get about 150,000 in one of your heists. Put 50 grand down. Do a steady overpayment.
Could I do that? What can I do?
What, the heist or the overpayment?
No, 10% per year.
Yeah, they decap it, don't they?
Yeah. So it can't be quite that much because my mortgage isn't quite that big.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So 10% per year, which is makes a difference about 30 grand. So yeah.
So how do you feel about
Capped at
it?
that.
Does it feel pretty good on the whole?
Do you know what? It's really interesting for those that that will know me in person, and for those that will. I've done a lot of discovering about myself, and a lot of conversations with people have made me realise why I'm not like other people. In fact, there were bits that were quite frustrating, but I don't want anyone that's told me this to get offended, because I've now realised that I'm not like this. Like, a lot of people said that I'll walk into a house and be like, "Oh my God, I love it," and I didn't get that. Didn't get that with any house whatsoever. None at all. Absolutely diddly squat. But what I did get is, every time I walked away from a house, I'd be like, yeah, but I've thought about X, Y, Z, and that's horrible. Or I've thought about X, Y, Z, and that's horrible. Or I've thought about X, Y, Z, and that's horrible. And the house that I've eventually chose, I didn't. Right? I came away and went, no, it's okay. And the other bit that kind of cemented it for me was, it was a choice between this one and another one, and this one was significantly more expensive, and I'd have to put in asking price, which I did. And I said out loud, and this was to my parents over dinner, was, I'll regret not putting an offer into that one. And that's instantaneously kind of then knew that's the one I should go for. So, yeah. It's an empty property, and I've got no chain, so fingers crossed within, this happened just after the last podcast, I think, actually, didn't it? Must be about 4 weeks now.
So
it
was.
I'm hoping that I'll be moving in relatively soon. There's some stuff that I need to do still. Like I need to review the mortgage stuff. I need to review the surveyor's stuff. But that last week was a bit mental. And just saying off of the podcast, I've been quite unwell this week, so not got to it. But I think it's interesting. We're talking about my energy levels and things like that, which go on to the other topical event in a minute about that. This is stressful. Right, and not in a, oh my God, I've got so much to do, but just emotionally stressful. Like emotionally, it just takes everything out of you. Does. And I got, so to just put it into perspective, I got served my Section 21. So for those that don't know that aren't in the UK, Section 21 is you need to get out of your current renting property, and here's the date, and it has to be served like 2 months in advance, and then there's a load of paperwork that you can do to appeal and bits and pieces like that. Well, I'm not going to, there's no point, right, because I bought a house, right, and my whole point is to move out of rented accommodation into accommodation that's there. The location, so I knew that was coming up because I'd already been kind of warned. So you're trying to find a property within a certain amount of time. And to put it in perspective, I was speaking to somebody who, they said they saw 26 houses. Well, I saw 30 in the end, right? And then I saw the 30 and found the property and was like, right, I'm knackered. And they went, yeah, I saw 26 houses over 8 months. I saw 30 houses in 5 weeks, not including second visits and third visits to one of them. So, like,
that's intense.
I kind of realised why I'm so knackered at the moment in terms of trying to buy the house, and then there's a load of paperwork that you've got to do in terms of mortgage applications, and it's really weird because they sort of say you don't need a solicitor or a surveyor or a mortgage in place before you put an offer in on a house, but to guarantee getting the house you need certain guarantees, otherwise they'll go with somebody else. And because I was kind of like in a bit of a bidding war for this one, neither of us could up in price. It was purely because I had no chain or something like that. I had to then get onto my mortgage advisor, who typically I want something from, and he's great. I'm not going to say he's been really, really good, but it's just one of those things. Typically, when you want something, people take a while. He was quite quick. Solicitor, as soon as I want something from solicitor, crickets. As soon as they want something from me, get on with it, and they're like, so it's quite a frustrating system. And as somebody that likes things to be in control, it's been horrible. But also, when you get stressed, like that's when procrastination kicks in. So there were definitely times where I was like, I can't be bothered to deal with this, and you really had to push. Right, and I'm quite proud of myself for how hard I had to push myself over those 5 weeks to try and find that house, the patience that you kind of put in to kind of do this. I've had probably about a week off, I think, not doing, which has been this last week. And I now know I've got to review the surveyors, I've got to review that mortgage stuff, I've got to get back on the searches, I need to go and review the paperwork. And then there's also little frustrations as well. So I'm going into a bit of a rant. Like, the solicitor come back with the fixtures and fittings, and what I found interesting was there was some stuff, just whole rooms just missed. And I'm like, what about this room? So it took the seller's solicitor and my solicitor all missed it. And it wasn't until it got to me that I went, yeah, but what about this room? And you just think, do pay attention, 007. So it's an emotionally involved thing that I think has massively drained me, on top of health woes this year, and on top of like the way that work's been going and the changes that are going through the area that I'm in. And it's interesting. So, Jerry will say to me, he'll go, no, Dom, you work really hard. No, I stress really hard. It doesn't feel like I work really hard. And I'd love to be able to change some of that stressed energy into working hard, because I'd be indestructible. Like if I worked as hard as I stressed instead of stressed as hard as I don't work, I would be scarily good, right? Honestly, I'd be scary. I was gifted anxiety just to hold me back. That's my reasoning. So, yeah, I have a house, like, coming up. Like, I'm obviously, touch wood and working to make sure that it doesn't fall through or anything like that. But, like, now you've got the other side of it, right? I've got to deal with the finances. I've got to deal with the property my current property is 25 250 square feet. No, hang on. Let me work in maths that I actually know. Hang on. It's 10 by 10, so it's 100 square meters. 10 by 10, 5 by 5. No, it must be more than that because I'm 2 meters, and you can get 5 of me along here. Yeah, it's 10 by 10, so it's 100 square meters.
So you could trade on
property
Sundays if you wanted to from your flat.
I could trade on Sundays
day.
from
Nice.
from the flat, but it's a rented property, so I can't, and there's tenancy laws. Anyway, but the new place is, well, the garage alone would take up half of my house, half of the current flat, and I've got a 2 bedrooms, so I'm probably going to about a property that's 4 times the size and has outdoor space. So I've got to deal with that. I've got to deal with the finances. I've got to deal with all the... So it's not an ending roller coaster. And I'm sure there's going to be more stuff. But for the first time in what feels like pre-pandemic, or I'm going to say pre-doing this, minus this podcast, because this podcast does fill me with excitement. It's the first time I've been properly excited about something.
That's really
and I've
good.
let myself feel that excitement. It's like I'm like, oh, I can feel it. It's going to be stressful and it's going to be a lot of work, but it's something I can put my own stamp on it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm so pleased for you. And it will make a difference because that sense of feeling that you're somewhere which is temporary because you're only renting, that will go. You'll have, I think psychologically you'll find a big difference. Once you're in your place, you'll be like, oh, this is mine. I'm not renting this. It won't feel like you're borrowing something of someone or lodging. That'll be your place. You'll be like, well, I can do whatever I want to it. It's my house. It's my land. If you wanted to, you could knock the whole house down and rebuild. You could.
I'm not going to.
No, I know.
I feel
You could level the whole house, turf the entire area, and just live in a tent if you wanted to. You can do whatever you want. It's your land and it's your house, and that's exciting. There's something very psychologically very satisfying about that.
And there are bits I'm really excited for, like and the gym is a really good example. Like having my own space to put the gym in, that was something I really wanted, and I've not had to compromise in any way, shape, or form on that. That feels really exciting for me. There's a few weirdities that I'm not going to go into on the podcast, but there's a few things that need dealing with. But fine, I'll deal with them.
Yeah.
Right? It's
yes. Well, congratulations.
It's just not. Yeah, and I'm sure I don't really know if I want to go into too much on this, like in the future, whether it's something I want to create content for, or whether it's something I just want to kind of make a bit more private, or something a bit like that. I don't really know. But it's, I hinted at it, right? The gym is a big thing. I won't need to listen to headphones. I won't need to have them in because I can just have the music playing out loud.
Yeah.
Right? I won't need to share equipment with people that don't put the sodden equipment away and need to be beaten over the head with a barbell, right? Because they don't put the equipment away, right? It's those types of things that I'm looking forward to. And it's going to cost me a lot of money, but I looked at some of the equipment that I want, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
ouch.
It could be cheap. But look, at least you've got options and you can do what you want. You can't do that where you are.
Yeah.
And
that's
the difference, isn't it?
Fingers crossed, touch wood, like it all goes to plan and I move in the next 2 months, let's just say, I will be in a property with some outdoor space.
Amazing.
For the first time.
Amazing.
In 11 years over the summer.
Amazing. Yes. That'd be fantastic.
So
nice.
And then you'll have to come over for a barbecue and inevitably it'll rain and stuff like
Of course it will. Of course it will. I think literally from the day that you complete and you pick up your keys, it's gonna rain incessantly.
It's gonna lash it down.
For the next 40 years until you pay off your mortgage, and then the sun will come out again. But it'll be fine because people in Finland and Sweden and stuff, where they literally only get exposed to like 30 minutes of sunshine a day, are very happy. So good for them.
Well, need to figure that out. Why are they so happy?
I don't know. Maybe it's eating lots of fish. I don't know.
One for another podcast.
We'll do a deeper dive on that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to be spending a lot of my money at multiple DIY places, I'm sure, over the coming few.
It'll be never ending. Like the Forth
It will
Bridge.
be never ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing I had to buy a garage door. That's the first thing. Weird. The garage is what I want to turn the gym in. The reason for that, and at the moment it's how to put this? It's got no windows, so it's very dark. You have to have the light on. But if you change the door for a window, you have to get planning permission, and I don't want to do that. So I want to get a garage door with a window.
You need a window.
A window.
A window.
Need a window. So that's going to be on that, and then I'll be getting all the mirrors and putting the gym equipment in and stuff like that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And I get to do DIY, which I'm weirdly looking forward to.
I get that.
Weirdly looking forward to. What I'm looking forward to most is not having to just sit in front of this damn computer.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to reveal my flat now. Right, here we go. Can I reach? I can't reach.
Yeah.
Right, so I green screen it up. Right, that's all that's behind me. Right? Nothing. That's all I have. This is my entire living room. If I turn to the right, dun, 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 that is my entire flat. That's my kitchen. Oh, I've got some washing up to do. And so, yeah. That'll do. I might not have put that as high, so there might be a gap there.
I can't see the gap.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have a sofa. I don't have. This chair is where I've sat for the last 11 years.
Which when you think about it, it's just insane, right? So it's going to make such a difference being in your place.
Yeah.
It'll. I think you'll be surprised how much of a difference it's going to make to your mental health being in your own place.
The lack of driving.
Well, yeah, there is that. But I think so. Yes, I agree. But I think it'll be way more than that.
Separation of office to leisure. Why have I got a dirty finger? Where's that come from?
Does the green screen?
Yes.
They call me Columbo. Oh, and one more thing.
What was I saying? So separation of work and leisure space. The fact that I'm going to be going from driving 15,000 miles a year to 4,000 miles a year for Taekwondo, and those two things alone, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Bought a house. Ugh. Yeah, excited. Anyway, I think that's all we can talk about on that one, can we?
I'm intrigued about the next one.
Oh yeah,
that threw me.
F1 season is back.
It is, which is great. But it's the Dom's notes.
Oh, why am I not doing an extra podcast?
Yes.
Because I'm fucking knackered and I ain't got any time to do anything.
Okay, fair enough. I thought there was another reason. I was like,
no.
Okay, all right, that's fine. It's nothing more cryptic than
this is just to admit that. So one of the things that I've realised. So I'm going to go a bit into psychology and a bit into just pure. I'm just knackered. So I mentioned that I was potentially doing another podcast, and I was going to do an F1 podcast. And then I tried to buy a house and tried to set up for the podcast, and I just had nothing left. Not when you're working, like I think I've worked about average of 50 hours a week with work at the moment, more on some weeks, less on others. Trying to find the house, trying to do all the house stuff now, and the F1 season started in March. Just like it became unfun trying to do it. And so I went, do you know what? I'm going to an F1 race this year, so I'm going to be away when I'm on one of them. Two of them sit either side of another holiday that I've had where I'm going to be camping for a week. And although I would have recording stuff there, I wouldn't be able to upload because the mobile speeds there is about 0.2 megabits per second or something like that. Megabytes per second. Just energy levels just couldn't do it. Like it's 24 episodes, and I was like, yeah, I need more time to do that and more energy. So I'm still not sure whether I will now do one now that I've really kind of thought about it. Because I already have we've got two channels, right? We've got this one and I've got my own personal one, which I upload regularly. And so I'm not sure whether I am going to do it because I just don't want to take the fun away from F1. But I may do something a bit different. I don't know. I haven't decided.
Yeah, because then you're obligated to do the podcast. It'd be a bit weird. You can't just do them ad hoc, can you?
No.
So you have to, whatever you decide to do, it's going to have to be some sort of commentary on each race.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be obligated. And then basically once you start that in the season, your feet are taped to the pedals on it until the end of the season.
I love the pun.
And then, you've got no choice. And you don't really want to, this podcast it's once a month. It's not a chore. Yeah. I love it. So I love the.
And we considered doing more episodes, and I had to. And when we started this, it was the middle of the pandemic, and you were like, "Let's do one a week," and I was like, I said no because there's more effort in this than people realise, right? Because I'll go and create. I do all the editing, and I like editing, right? I think it's fun. But there are weekends where I'll be like, I can't be bothered to edit this weekend. And if I know I've got a spare weekend, like today, I won't edit the podcast today. It will likely be next weekend because I've got a free weekend next weekend. Whereas today, after this, I'll be going to the gym. And then there is an F1 race that I want to watch, right? You can't watch an F1 race just randomly. You have to watch it when it's broadcast to a certain extent.
Which one is it today?
Today is Jeddah, so Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. 27 corners. It is one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. But to put it in perspective, so the plan was to do an episode before the race and after the race, make some predictions, watch the race just casually, and then record an episode after it. But we've just had 3 back-to-back. So when would I record?
Yeah, that would be pretty heavy.
Right, to get the episodes out, so you want the pre-podcast to come out before then, so you can't record on the Saturday before the race because there's no time to upload and for it to come out. So I worked out that I could probably do it like if I recorded on the Wednesday, right, and have it come out on the Friday. But then to record the episode afterwards, you don't want to wait for a week for that to come out. It needs to come out Monday, Tuesday, so you'd have to record on the Sunday. That would be okay for the first few races that were at 5 a.m. So China, Australia, and Japan were 5 a.m. races or sort of morning races, but this one's at 6 p.m. So you'd have to watch the thing and then record an episode. But also, all of the races, something has happened 2 or 3 hours afterwards. So you want to be up to date. So to do the podcast justice, you kind of have to wait at least 24 hours, which means that you're recording on a Monday.
Not great.
So I may still do something. The podcasts were planned to be significantly shorter, but I don't think I could have put the quality or time of day that I wanted to do into it. So the other side of that is a psychological thing, which is interesting. So I told people what I was going to do and haven't done it, which is quite a thing that's demoralizing. And I was reading some stuff about psychology about you shouldn't tell people what you're going to do. You should only tell people what you've done. So you may have noticed this in the Wednesday waffles that I do, which is a interesting concept, which some people seem to have got behind, and it was really successful for the first month and it's kind of diminished afterwards. And I missed a week and everybody went absolutely nuts, right? Because I feel
on what basis do they have of jumping down
I'm
your
go into
throat
this,
on
and
that?
Yeah, I know it's
really
funny. But I don't tend to talk about what's coming up because plans change. You get sick. I tend to be sick about every third day of the week, if you know what I mean. But it's that psychological element. It's not saying I'm going to lose weight because it's almost like because we judge ourselves by our intentions, not our actions. If we say an intention, we're less likely to do the action, which is weird. Unless it's specifically written in a goal that we can, we promise ourselves. But if we just make generic intentions, that's checked in our brain already, and we don't tend to proceed forward with it. So I only talk about what I've done rather than what I'm going to do. And that's why I've sort of said I'm now like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm now probably not going to announce that I'm on the podcast. I'm going to talk about, maybe April next year, I'll go, I've done it. I've recorded an episode. And that's it. I won't talk about whether I'm going to continue. I'll just talk about that I've recorded an episode. So it's interesting. But it is time and energy. But also, and on top of that, by the way, I've bought a house. So who knows what time and energy I'm going to have. I might have more because I'm not driving so much and I've got all the equipment and stuff set up. Or I might have less because I've got a bigger house to deal with. Who knows?
Who knows the secret of the dark crystal?
Well, if somebody knows the secret of the dark crystal, can they give me a bit more energy, please?
No, that crystal doesn't
Whatever.
give you energy.
My Saturn's in retrograde or whatever it is. Uranus is...
Hey, listen, you leave my
down.
anus out of this.
Neptune is not well. I don't know. Mercury's got a shiny side.
You have to consider all these things. It's important.
Yeah. Have you noticed I really don't not into astrology?
You really don't.
at
You're
all.
talking a load of old bollocks. There are probably some astrologers listening to this now going, what is he fucking going on about? You must be a typical Pisces. No, you're not. You're Capricorn.
I am
There you
indeed.
go.
We both are.
We are.
And I believe in none of the mumbo jumbo whatsoever.
Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just believe that children are our future. Don't even know if I'm allowed to get away with saying that. I've said it a lot.
You've said it a lot.
Teach them
You're
well.
going to tell that to Rachel.
Yeah. I'm saying nothing about that. She is the future. She is the future.
Oh,
And I
dear.
walk like a sim.
So when you walk like a sim, I was going to say, yeah, you look like a rescued human. Oh, dear.
Nice.
The other one, that just on insults, by the way, is I do tend to... I've got a friend who I insult by calling ice cream flavours.
Okay.
Well, it's a very British... I mean,
Well, hang on. How does that work? You go, oi, salty
Well-
caramel.
yeah, or get over here, you raspberry ripple.
Yep.
Your chocolate sundae.
Okay. You're lucky you got away with that.
I got away with that because we're little kids.
You're lucky you got away with that. Double mint choc chip.
Yeah, Rocky Road.
Cookie dough. Rocky Road.
I think it's a British thing though. You can call you can call anybody anything and it can count as an insult, like an object.
Yeah, you can.
You absolute microwave. And it works.
You're absolute. That's Colin.
Did you hear that
Yeah, I
one? Did you
did.
hear the motorbike go past?
Literally, I haven't heard anything the entire podcast, but I heard that.
That's
that was
strange.
loud.
Normally the mic doesn't pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it was quite loud as it went past.
That must have been loud.
That is another thing I'm looking forward to moving house to. I'm not on a main road.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good.
No more disturbed sleep.
Jeez.
Oh, I've got a bee in my bonnet. Right, that's it. I've just remembered a bee in my
All
bonnet.
right.
What are the noise hours? What are the hours that you're not allowed to make loud noise?
Is it something like 9 p.m. until 8 a.m.? Something like
No, it's a lot shorter than that. It's 11 till 6. Right, it is as early as 6. You're not allowed
6?
to. You're not allowed to beep. Yeah, you're not allowed to beep your horn before 6 a.m. As a road user. So why does the pub opposite insist that the recycling lorry that comes to pick up all the bottles come at 5:15 in the morning on a Thursday?
That's bad, because that makes a hell of a racket, which is why they wear ear defenders. Yeah, that's bad.
They've ignored my email.
They probably forwarded it to the the US customs officials that you also
Yeah, that's the Grand Prix that I'm going to, which is why I'm being very good
that.
about my American
No,
slating.
we love it. We love it. Nothing going on here.
China.
Nothing to China. China. We're gonna let Dom in. It's gonna be the best F1 race ever.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Right, shall we do blindly rates?
Let's do it. It's gonna
I'm
be
curious to see
interesting.
how many you actually know,
Okay.
and also then your opinion on F1 champions, just generally,
Of the ones that I know.
of the ones that you know.
As long as there's no boiled
So this
egg
blindly
in this,
rates.
in this race. Boiled eggs can't race, so I think I'm safe.
No, but I think some of these characters are quite can be quite
Divisive?
yeah, divisive. It depends on your
Divisory, I
opinions
don't
and stuff, and
think
it might
that's
also be your generation that you've got. So I've got 10
Okay.
F1
10.
champions.
Okay.
So I want you to blindly rank them,
Right.
right? With one being the one that you think is the best, and 10 being the worst. And I will also try and remember how many they won and the years. I used to be quite good at this, but yeah. So number 1 is Nico Rosberg.
Oh.
Won World Championships 2016.
I'm going to go safe, and I'm going to go 5.
5. Okay. Mika Hakkinen. 99 or 2000, or maybe no, it must have been earlier than that.
Earlier than that. No, I don't know actually. Was he?
He's 2 times. Oh, 98, 99.
98, 99. Oh. God, Mika Hakkinen.
One during the Schumacher years as well. We can't be too silent, Swanee. You get annoyed.
Yeah, sorry, Swanee. I'm gonna go 4th. 4. I might regret that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Michael
flipping heck,
Schumacher.
I might regret that. I have to say 2.
2. Oh, interesting. Jensen Button, 2009.
Jensen Button. Bloody hell.
Well, that might have been a Kimmy.
Jensen Button.
2009. Oh, so good.
Look at that. I would say 7.
7. Okay. I think I think the one that you'll probably regret most is the Rosberg one. Nico Rosberg.
Yeah, probably.
1 times 2016 world champion.
Yeah, probably.
Number 5, Lewis Hamilton.
I'm going to go 1.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Statistically, the best.
Statistically,
The best.
yeah. So look, 1 for Hamilton, 2 Schumacher, right? I mean,
Yeah.
come on, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to regret that.
No, I don't disagree. I've got my own opinions and stuff like that. Number 6, Jacques Villeneuve.
I like Jacques Villeneuve.
96?
Yeah, I like Jacques Villeneuve. What slots have I got left?
Hang on, I'm just looking up. 97. I was well off.
97.
You have 3, 6, 8, 9, 10.
I like Jacques Villeneuve, so I'm going to go. But if you think about, this isn't easy. 8.
8. Fair enough. Sebastian Vettel. 4 times world champion
6.
between 2011
Hugh.
and 2014, I think.
Yeah.
Or it might be 10 to 13. I think it's 10 to 13.
I might regret this. Oh, Dom.
10 to 13.
'Cause I don't know who else you got up your sleeve.
It's very short sleeves.
Well, oh, flipping heck. So I'm debating whether to put him, to either just go full ham and put him third.
We got 6, 8, and 10. 6, 9, and 10.
6, 9, and 10. I mean, he can't be a 9 or 10, for goodness sake, can he? Let's face it.
No, in this list he's not.
No, right, exactly. So, but I don't know if I can confidently put him at a 3, not knowing who else is on the list. So I'm going to go 6.
6.
So 3, 9, and 10. That's what I've got left.
3, 9,
Flip
and
it
10.
out. Okay.
So, your 8th driver, Nigel Mansell. Good old Nige.
Good old Nige. But do you know what? This is controversial. Probably going to get slated for this. But I'm going to put him 9th.
9th. So you've got 3 and 10. So your 9th driver is Ayrton Senna.
Oh, for flip's sakes. For flipping flip. Sorry, I'm sorry. That's thrown me so badly. That has thrown me so badly now. I've got what left? 3 and
10.
3. I've got.
And your 10th driver, which goes into 10th, which I don't know if you regret, is James Hunt.
See, I would have put Mansell lower than, and Vettel and Villeneuve lower than him, obviously.
I think you mucked up with your Nico Rosberg. Tried to play it too safe.
I think I did.
Because for me, so you've got Nico Rosberg, Mika Hakkinen, Michael Schumacher, Jenson Button, Lewis Hamilton, Jacques Villeneuve, Sebastian Vettel, Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna, and James Hunt. And I think actually, for me, Rosberg is probably the 10 because he's the single.
You're right.
He's this well.
Him, Villeneuve,
honest,
Mansell would have been an 8, 9, 10 for me.
Yeah, Rosberg. I think Rosberg is probably a 10. Villeneuve, I think, is probably a little bit higher because he didn't have a dominant car.
Yeah, that's true.
And Rosberg shouldn't have won the championship he won if Hamilton hadn't blown up in Malaysia in 2016.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you've got, like Mansell's multiple world champion, Ayrton multiple world champion, and arguably probably one of the greatest of all time. James Hunt, is he multiple? It might be multiple.
I think, he was multiple. Pretty sure he was.
No, once, 1976.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I've got that right?
Are you sure?
Yeah, won the Formula One World Drivers' Championship in 1976 with McLaren.
There's an interesting story behind all of that. But yeah. Okay. It's funny because I was thinking, I bet there's no way you're going to have Ayrton Senna on the list, and then you had Ayrton Senna on the list. Would that have changed anything in the top 3?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think your top 3 would have changed because you've got Hamilton, Schumacher, Senna.
But would the order have changed? And I would say, I think I probably would have, and this is also controversial, I would have swapped Schumacher with Senna. So I would have put Senna second because of what Senna did for the sport.
A lot of people would have Hamilton third, which I disagree with.
What? Why? On what basis?
I don't know why. But for me, Schumacher is. Now this is controversial, and this is why I wanted to do an F1 podcast. But so for me, Schumacher was too much of a dirty driver. If you take 98 Monaco, where he parked at a Rascasse, right? Not required. His escapades with Damon Hill in 98, where he drove into the side of him, taking them both out, knowing that they would.
I remember that.
Those types of things.
He was a sore loser, big time, wasn't he?
Yeah, and so and I'm sure what I found of most of them is that they've, like, after they've retired, they've become much better, or as they've got older. Like, early 2006, Lewis Hamilton was a bit of a dick. Like, he was a bit of a dick. But you compare him now, like, especially to 2020 Lewis Hamilton, especially during the pandemic, running the black livery during all the George Floyd stuff, I think, and his efforts to put, you know, coloured people into sport and those types of things, he is a significantly
he's great.
Like, brilliant human being and very talented. I think he's suffered the most of age now. I think he needs to retire. I think the crazy thing, if the results had changed of 4 races, Hamilton would be an 11 times world champion. If Malaysia 2016, his engine hadn't blown up and he finished second, he would have won that year instead of Rosberg. Got the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, so if he'd won that one, and I can't remember the other 2, but I think it's his 2007 year where Raikkonen won it from him and Massa, and it's 1 race change, but it's not a win if he comes something like 3rd. And then I can't remember the other one that was mentioned on that. When else would he have? When he was close to the title, did he not win it? But it's something ridiculous. Like, if you change if you change 4 race results and only increase his tally by 2 more wins, he becomes an 11 times world champion.
That's mad.
And in my mind, Lewis Hamilton is an 8 because he should have won 2021 Abu Dhabi. The rules were interpreted, in my opinion, not strictly correctly by Michael Massey, and that's no disrespect against Verstappen, who's a worthy champion, but I think in Verstappen's mind, that first championship will always be a bit tainted by that controversy, which doesn't feel good.
Yeah, exactly. That's not going to sit well with him ever, is it? There's always going to be the cloud over it. Yeah,
there's always going to be a cloud over it. So I would put Hamilton top. I would have Ayrton second. Right. I think just his ability and his car control and some of the things that you've seen, just incredible. And then, like, people like Vettel, like, I didn't like Vettel when he was winning everything during those 4 years. Like, it was a really dry spell in Formula One, and it was probably one of the dullest parts, especially as I could watch all of them because it was during my uni years. But he was a bit of a dick back then, but now he's a legend, right? I think he's brilliant. When he moved to Ferrari and then he started all the environmental bits and things like that, I think he's great. I think he's so good. Would I want him to come back? Absolutely not. Do not come back. He made a hint. Don't come back. Sebastian Vettel, do not come back. It's not worth it. And it's the same with Max Verstappen. When Max started, I did not like him. Do not like Max Verstappen. And there is still shades of that. Like, I think he's a very dirty world champion. And people go, yeah, but world champions have got to do anything to win. You don't. Look at Lewis. No, none of Lewis's world championships are marred with any controversy at all. Even Ayrton's championships, arguably, Suzuka 94?
So against Prost,
where him and Prost crashed out and he won from that.
Yeah.
Arguably, you've got a bit of that. Vettel was, multi-21 with Mark Webber, those types of things. So I'd argue you don't. Jenson Button's the other one that I think was clean. His championship was clean.
Yeah.
So
I haven't done too badly.
No.
I think too badly. I'm actually quite impressed.
I think you've got people in the right place. I think your Nico Rosberg one was the one that just kind of
because it's a first, and then it threw me, and I was like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right. So
I went the opposite of the egg.
You did go the opposite of the egg. Yeah, definitely. No, I really enjoyed that. That's good, and actually, it made me. I'm
going to take my hat off to knowing number of championships in some of the years and being only 1 or 2 years out of the way.
You are the stat man.
I definitely would have. I definitely get a lot more fuzzier as it gets older. Like, because I can go Verstappen. So 4 Verstappens, 3 Hamiltons, Rosberg, 3 Hamiltons, then it's like, oh god, then it'd be like 2000. Then before Vettels, Raikkonen, Button, Hamilton, which is going down now. Then you're into the Michael Schumacher 7. So there was 6 around the same time, with 2 with Mika Hakkinen in. Then it would have been like Jacques Villeneuve, Damon Hill, and then it would have been Michael Schumacher's first when he was in Benetton, and then it gets really fuzzy.
That's right, yeah.
I'm not quite sure on like the Alan Prosts and the Ayrton Senna, like
God,
1990s, 1980s.
Forgot about Benetton. What happened to Benetton? Because that was Flavio Briatore who ran.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Benetton.
Is Benetton even still going as a brand?
Hang on, I think there is current F1 teams, like previous names. Right, so here it is. So Red Bull were originally Stewart in the 1990s, and then they became Jaguar, and then they became Red Bull. Mercedes were Tyrrell until they became BAR, then they became Honda, then they were Braun, and then they were Mercedes. Ferrari and McLaren have been consistent. So Jordan was in the 1990s, then they became Midland, then they became Spryker, then they became Force India, Racing Point, and are now Aston Martin. So this is good. So Tolman in the 1970s became Benetton in 1986 till 2001. They became Renault in 2002 to 2011. They became Lotus from 2012 to 2015. They went back to Renault in 2016 to 2020 and are now Alpine. Williams were Williams. And then you've got Minardi from 1985 to 2005. Then Toro Rosso. Then AlphaTauri. And now they are RB, which is the second one. And then you've got Sauber, who were Sauber, then BMW Sauber, then Sauber, and are now Alfa Romeo, and now they are Sauber, but they're kick stake. And then they're going to become Audi, and then you've got Haas, which started just as Haas. Obviously, Honda, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, Renault, Lotus were all other teams as well during those times. But yeah, a lot of the teams kind of get bought out as they go along, which is why, for example, the Mercedes garage. Where is the Mercedes garage? Right, it's not in Germany. It's in Brackley, which is by the Silverstone circuit up in. I can't think of the county.
Hertford? No. Is it Hertfordshire? No. That's going to bug me.
Can't remember. That's going to annoy me.
I probably got it completely wrong. My geography's terrible.
Doesn't tell me.
What?
Toaster? Let me just put in county.
By the way, whilst you're looking that up, United Colours of Benetton.
Northamptonshire.
Oh, North. Oh, God, it's as far as North. Okay, didn't realise.
Yeah, it's quite far enough.
Sorry, Hertfordshire. Jesus. United Colours of Benetton are still going. I'm on their website. They're still going. Benetton, yeah.
Benetton.
Now, there's a brand. You used to see them on the high street. Their jumpers, and they were renowned for their jumpers, weren't they? They used to do really bright jumpers, and they were expensive. I remember they were like 80, 90 quid back in the 80s. I don't think that's the
Benetton that you think. Benetton Racing. No, I don't think they are.
What, United Colours of Benetton?
They have a website.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, like actually selling clothing like they used to, yeah.
It's a clothing brand now.
No, it's always been a clothing brand. Benetton was a famous... Yeah, Benetton was a famous clothing brand. And they used to have shops on the high street, and they used to be renowned for their jumpers. And but their clothing was actually quite expensive because a lot of people. So you could get, you had a choice between getting like a Ralph Lauren jumper, but if you ended up getting a Benetton jumper, it was just as good. It was just as fashionable. And they used to do iconic adverts. Their marketing was amazing. Yeah, and look at that. It's still go. Although the logo seems to be a bit different, but that's
logo's a bit different.
Still going. Wow.
I think the one that I missed now is obviously, and rest in peace to him, is obviously Eddie Jordan passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, what a legend!
What a legend!
Absolute legend.
He was larger than life, wasn't he?
And that's what it was absolutely larger than life. I mean, the type of person that would have like teeth on the front of the car, or painted on the side of the car and stuff like that.
Yeah, he is brilliant. Such a character. And that's what and this is what I worry about. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I just said, when you start getting too much money in sports, it makes it you start then losing some of the characters out of it when it becomes too professional, if this makes any sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but do you know what I mean? It becomes too professional, then it becomes too corporate, then it becomes too sterile, and you lose those characters. And the
2004 to 2010 McLaren days, Ron Dennis,
right,
bland silver everywhere.
Exactly. But also Ron Dennis was never Eddie Jordan, right? If you think of Eddie Jordan and the things that he did, he was always in the press. He was renowned for his parties. He took punts on drivers that other championship.
A certain Michael Schumacher got his debut, didn't he?
Yeah,
after the previous driver was arrested.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Or was in prison, I suppose. Was in jail.
Yeah, rest in peace, Eddie.
Yeah, so Jordan Grand Prix is one of the ones that have been transformed and is now technically Aston Martin.
Okay.
But I know what you mean. And what's interesting is, and I suppose it's probably why Formula One has had such a resurgence recently, is because that middle era, that kind of Ron Dennis McLaren era, was boring because we just come out of the Ferrari winning everything. Right, and although the racing was a little bit closer, everything was really corporate. They were really kind of like this, and my worry is F1 are trying to stamp it out. Like they're trying to, they get fined if they're caught, if they swear on the radio, which I think is rubbish. Because I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, come on,
right? It's a hard sport, but then you go on to things like Drive to Survive and some of the Instagram stuff and TikTok stuff that they do, and it's a lot more like, I think they're trying to inject a bit of fun, and with that bit of fun you get the rivalries, you get the things like that. Like even McLaren, like nowadays, yes, they are now back to winning everything, but they're a lot more animated, and like Lando Norris at the moment has got a lot of controversy now, and at the time of recording he binned it yesterday in the qualifying to start 10th, and he's leading the world championship. I have a real fear that Lando will never win a world championship because I think Oscar Piastri, his teammate, is probably going to win it this year. And they're very different people. And it's funny, like Lando Norris can come out and be vulnerable and he gets slated, and Lando Norris can come out and be like really reserved and he gets slated. Like, so I really feel for him at the moment. But you compare that to the way that Oscar Piastri is, who's so calm on the radio, but all of the banter comes from his mother on Twitter. Right? It's absolutely hilarious. She's absolutely hilarious. It's all marketing and all ploy, right? But he has to do nothing. The other one is his sister, who obviously is, when they were in Australia, she's at university in an Australian university, and she's like doing like, here's my commute, and then taking pictures of all the times that she sees her brother on a billboard or something like that. Utterly hilarious, but it just adds a bit to the kind of the thing. And then you get all the stuff with like that Lewis Hamilton does, and then you look at the bits and pieces around. Even Mercedes aren't like this big German corporate. There's a lot more energy, right? They've got, George Russell has embraced the memes that they've got. Williams have Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon doing a podcast called Team Talk, as in, Torque Wrench or Torque from an engine.
Very good.
Right, it's a really great pun, and which again I love it. So and they're very open and honest about different bits. Alex, when Hamilton went to Ferrari, Alex Albon was like, yeah, good for him. Really good for his bank account, but good for him. Right? It's that type of these are human beings operating at the pinnacle, and it's giving that human side to something
which
that
is what you want.
Very difficult sport.
Yeah, which is what you want.
And they started doing it more with the Olympics and things like that.
Yeah.
I still maintain the one thing I do want to do is I always want a normal person in the Olympics, and F1 would be a really good example. I want a normal person to do a qualifying lap. I'll volunteer as tribute. Not that I'd fit in any of the cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was talking to I saw a friend of mine on Thursday night, and I said we were talking about somebody that we know whose son played for Saints Academy and has moved on, and I mentioned the name of a footballer as well, who's a goalkeeper for a club. I won't say the club, but anyway, he's a player for one of the clubs. Young lad, he's done really well. He's local, so he went to school. Funnily enough, in Lymington near me. Anyway, so we were talking about it, and I said, look, just as a laugh, people sit there. You get a lot of armchair pundits, and people just sit there and they go, "Oh, come on, pass it up the right wing. Didn't you see him there? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. I said, if we were to get, I'm not massively into football or anything, but I'm choosing football as an example. If we were to get, I don't know, I said, if we were to get me, you, I said, just a group of us, just a group of friends, and we were to play, it'd be interesting just to play the Southampton first team in a match. I said, I know we would get our asses served to us on a plate. I know that already, but I would love to know how they would tear us apart. How bad would it be? And then because he really knows his football. He lives, eats and breathes football. He and manages teams and things. So he said, let's put it this way. He said, there's a guy that played for what is one division below or something, and then he ended up playing a match or he went and did some training, and they played a match, and he was up against the worst player in Saints, who's renowned as the worst player in Saints, and he said, and the guy ran rings around him.
Yeah, I fully believe it.
He said, just
and Saints at the moment is a really easy team to do. I'm a Saints fan, by the way. I have been for 20 years. So I have to admit, for those that don't follow football, Saints are currently on 10 points at the bottom of the league and have already been relegated, the earliest ever from the Premier League.
No.
And people have been criticising them, and yes, you can criticise them because they've done a poor job in comparison to everybody else. But I'm not going to sit there and say I could have done a better job. Because I couldn't. I don't know football. I don't know tactics. I just sit there and go, oh, for God's sake. My happiness does not depend upon a team doing well.
No, exactly.
Right? That is definitely one thing I've managed to separate out. But the Olympics is a really good one. I can run. I have run a reasonable 100-meter times. But
sub 10.
you stick me. No, I've not run sub 10.
No. But when you think about it, though,
yeah,
the people running sub 10.
Yeah. I've done a 14, which I think is pretty good.
It's unbelievably fast.
But I'm still 4 seconds slower.
I know.
Right? And you may think 4 seconds, that's not that long. It's 40%.
Yeah.
Slower.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Right? So in a marathon where they're running it in 2 hours, I would be, 40% would be 120, it's 50%. hang on, 3 hours. Yeah, I'd probably be closer to like 3 hours.
If you extrapolate that out,
right?
yeah.
I would love a 3-hour marathon. That'd be
Well,
fucking
yeah.
amazing. Right? As the distance gets longer, that percentage actually increases. But that's because I'm not built for long distance. Right? And as I have run a 14 seconds, that's not what I can run now.
But still, yeah, it's yeah. I just find I wish I could relay what he said to me. Like he really went into the detail and he broke it down. And I said, look, if you had to choose,
Yeah.
you know, it's not. He said it doesn't matter. He said it doesn't matter about how fit we would be. He said we could be as fit as we want. Like if you were to pull together like a team of just normal people who, you know, I don't know. Let's say they all do CrossFit and they're all like massively, you know, really good athletes and whatever. He said, it makes no difference. He said it's the technique and the skill that they've got. He said they would literally just tear us apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay. So
The same way I wouldn't put you in the ring with me, for example, right? Because I've had 20 years of training.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I can run very, very fast as well.
Oh, dear. No, it's all good. It's a wonderful experiment I'd love to do, and I think racing cars is a good example of that, because you just see that you'd be seconds off.
Oh, what? And the rest, I think.
I volunteer though, right?
Yeah, there you go. So for anyone listening out there, Don wants to do this. Don wants to do this.
I want to do it. Oh, it would kill me. My neck would fall off at the first corner. I wouldn't be able to press the brake hard enough, and I can't left foot brake regularly to be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
I've tried left foot braking, no chance. I can't do it.
I used to be able to do it. This is to do go-karts quite a bit. And,
okay.
In university and done some rally stuff and bits and pieces, but
yeah, fair play to you.
You don't do it regularly.
No.
Right, should we do some poignant questions?
Do it.
I'm going to flip the boat. I'm going to let you go first.
Oh. Okay, well, it's not really a question, and it's not really poignant.
Oh, yeah, yours are interesting facts.
Interesting facts, and I just want to get your views on it. So, let's have a look. But I'm not going to read out all of them. Okay, because there's a lot.
How many are you going to read out?
I don't know. How many are you going to read out?
I've got 5, haven't I?
Okay, well, I'll do 5 then, as well. So, let's start with something topical. You'll know this anyway. Maybe some people won't. But F1 drivers lose approximately 2 to 3 kilograms of their weight during a race due to sweating.
Yes.
And I thought that was quite fascinating. So, and that's 4.4 to 6.6 pounds for people that don't use proper measurements. During a race, the extreme sweating is caused by the high temperatures inside the cockpit, which can exceed 50 degrees centigrade or 122 degrees Fahrenheit for people that don't use proper measurements. Combined with the intense physical and mental exertion required to control the car at high speeds, the loss of fluids and electrolytes is significant, which is why drivers follow strict hydration and nutrition plans to recover after races.
And the combined weight of the F1 car and driver must be 780 kilos. So if an F1 driver loses 2 to 3 kilos, teams have to make their cars 2 to 3 kilos heavier to ensure that when they weigh the car and driver after the race, they don't get disqualified for being too light.
Well, how do you do that?
With a ballast.
Oh, for goodness sake.
They will literally put ballast in. And then you take, for example, we're going into F1 facts. The shortest driver on the grid is Yuki Tsunoda at 159 centimetres and weighs about 52 kilos. The tallest driver on the grid is Esteban Ocon at 189 centimetres, and he still is like 70 kilos, right? But there's still 11 kilo difference between the two. I'd like to point out this is why I'm 191 centimetres, so I wouldn't fit in an F1 car. And I'm 90 kilos, so... right, so I would be... So every kilo is 0.2 of a second on average slower.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Right? So cars start off with 100 kilograms worth of fuel. So 100 kilograms is about 2 seconds a lap slower. Because... you've got it shifting in the car, which means that the car generates less grip, so you're slower in the corners, and then obviously you've got a little bit more, weight to move, so the engine doesn't travel quite as quickly. But if you've got a driver that weighs 70 kilos versus a driver that's 59 kilos, you want a lighter driver, because the driver then can you can put the ballast in the car to bring it up to the 780 kilos. You've got more ballast, but you can put it in different places. So with Ocon, he can't move like the weight of his head to his feet. Whereas with Tsunoda, they can just put ballast in the bottom of the car, which lowers the centre of gravity, which enables it to corner quicker.
Right.
So,
okay.
But so, for example, there are many ways to get disqualified. But 2 races ago in China, both Ferraris were disqualified. And the reason being is because Charles Leclerc ended up doing a one-stop strategy, and he'd taken so much tread off the tyres that the tyres themselves, across all 4, were 4 kilograms lighter than what Ferrari were expecting, which means that he was 0.8 kilograms under the weight limit.
No way.
780 kilos, and he was 0.8 under the weight limit.
They disqualified for 800 grams.
For 800 grams. Lewis Hamilton was disqualified because the plank, so there's a they call it the plank, but it's actually a piece of titanium that runs underneath the car. And when you see all the sparks flying, that's that coming in contact with the ground. That cannot wear by about a certain amount. And Lewis Hamilton's plank had worn by 0.7 of a millimeter underneath what it was. So take the thickness of get your credit card out. Don't show me your credit card. But the thickness of a credit card, he was underneath that.
It's ridiculous. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'll take out my Waterstones loyalty card.
Yeah. But it's literally, I don't know. That thickness is how much he was disqualified by.
No way. That's mad.
So you hear about these drivers about... there's been a lot of controversy about the water system recently, the drink system. So Oscar Piastri in the last race was asked, by his race engineer Tom Stallard, who's an Olympic medalist, by the way, don't forget to take a drink. And Oscar Piastri was like, I would if it's working, right? Which means that his drink system wasn't working. But some of the drivers are like, well, I don't want a drink system because that's 2 kilos of weight that I could get rid of. And the FIA have mandated that there must be at least X amount of weight in the drink system to consider. So now they might as well have it, if you know what I mean. So, yeah.
Interesting. There you go. I knew that was going to spark off more facts about F1.
This is the thing, right? People don't realise how much of an F1 nut I am. I love the sport. I love it.
You absolutely are. Love it.
If it wasn't for the fact that the free practice are on Friday and I work, I would watch them.
Nice. Right, go on. Hit me with your poignant question.
My poignant question. So, these poignant questions have come from an XKCD comic. So there is an answer to these as well. But I'm just curious if you can answer it before them. In Armageddon, a NASA guy comments that a plan to shoot a laser at the asteroid is like shooting a BB gun at a freight train. What would it take to stop an out-of-control freight train using only BB guns?
So what? How many BB guns do you need, and how many BBs?
How many BB guns?
I think you'd need... I think you'd need over 10,000 BB guns, and you'd be having to fire those pellets all at the same time. Because 1,000 wouldn't cut it. So it would be, but I don't know what the figure would be, but it would have to be, I'd say, over 10,000 BB guns.
Well, so if you had all the people that you could possibly... So the way that they calculate it in this, and this is a wonderful thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but... they talk about like how much a BB gun kind of fires, how much it weighs, its shots per second, and stuff like that. At 1 shot per second, it'd take over 2 days and nearly 200,000 BBs to bring the train to a halt. And by that point, it would have stopped on its own anyway, because the drag coefficient for air resistance and the friction on the rails is more than the change that the BB guns would do.
God, bloody hell. Okay.
So then they talk about, like, if you get, like, of course there are BB machine guns that fire 1,200 rounds per minute. And then they talk about, like, you know, you can't just have a theoretical, like, people all shoot. You've got to have a certain radius and bits and pieces to get enough people to stand next to each other and bits and pieces. So they start looking at this mind. If all 2,500 of them pull the triggers, unleashing 100,000 BBs per second, as the train plows ahead, people in front magically fly sideways of the track. There would be 45,000 BBs in the air. This hail of steel takes several excruciating minutes and almost 2 kilometres of track to stop the train. That means we need over 100,000 shooters lined up along the track. An armament would cost in the neighbourhood of 50 million.
Oh my God. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, think of the weight of a freight train. That doesn't surprise me.
So, the AK, let's say we relax the BB gun. The AK-47 has a muzzle velocity of 570 meters per second and fires a bullet which outweighs a steel BB by a factor of 25. The bullets go so fast that they penetrate into the body of the train, which means they're a little less efficient at transferring their momentum, but it doesn't really matter. Calculations show a crowd of 2,500 people firing 2 AK-47s each would be able to stop our runaway locomotive within the space of 30 metres in only a second and a half. Mission accomplished.
Wow.
So if you needed to stop a freight train with guns, you need 5,000 AK-47s and it would take 30 metres.
Nice.
So there you go.
There you go. Oakley dokley.
Your next fact.
My next fact. So, right. This is a bit mind-blowing. And you're probably going to have a whole bunch of questions which I'm not going to be able to answer because I haven't done research on this, right? But the Earth apparently has a heartbeat, in inverted commas, heartbeat, every 26 seconds. So scientists have detected a rhythmic microseismic pulse occurring roughly every 26 seconds. This phenomenon is known as the Earth's heartbeat. It was first observed by researchers who noticed a pulse coming from the ocean, but its precise cause remains uncertain. Some theories suggest it could be linked to underwater processes, such as the movement of tectonic plates or ocean currents. However, the exact mechanism behind the pulse is still a subject of ongoing research. So they actually don't know.
Alive.
So yeah, I read that and I was like, wow. So I don't even know. Maybe you've got no comment on that, but yeah. It's a fun fact, right?
It's a fun fact. Fun facts with Jerry. It's like flags with Shelly. No, it's interesting. I mean, I haven't got any other fun facts about the Earth other than the fact that where is the point that's furthest away from the centre of the Earth?
It's a trick question.
It's a trick question. What point on Earth is furthest away from the centre? Logically, you would go with the tallest point on Earth, which is tallest point on Earth. It being, Jerry,
Mount Everest.
Yeah, which you'd be wrong. It's actually somewhere in Mexico. It's a mountain in Mexico, and the reason being is because the Earth is not round.
Okay.
The Earth is slightly oblong, and this mountain sits on like a point on the kind of bulgier side, and it's something like 22 miles further from the centre of the Earth than Mount Everest or something ridiculous like that.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know. I can't remember the full fact on that one.
Okay. Right, well, I've got one Earth fact, which is that Australia, well, it's not really Earth, probably part of Earth and then Moon, but Australia is wider than the Moon.
Yes.
That still blows my mind.
Australia. But I always get my mind blown because the maps that we always see have the countries not to scale.
No.
I can't remember what the map is called,
Yeah.
but it's got a different name.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they always show like the UK. So the UK looks huge. UK looks like it's the size of Europe, and it's not. But that's what happens when you get a map from a British bookstore. Right, go on then.
Yeah.
Hit me with your poignant question.
Could a high-speed train run through a vertical loop like a roller coaster with the passengers staying comfortable? I mean, like, loop to loop.
Yes. But that would take
No.
one. How about no?
Yeah. And literally it says no. Since this is kind of a disappointing answer, I tried to relax the requirements a little. Could a high-speed train run through a vertical loop like a roller coaster with the passengers surviving? Still no. Could a modified and reinforced high-speed train with a jet engine on top run through a vertical loop like a roller coaster with the passengers surviving? Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Basically, it comes down to the fundamental that the loop would have to be 20 kilometers in
Yeah,
radius.
exactly. It would need to be
Right.
huge.
Which means that when they do the loop, you're putting too much G-force and you would kill all the passengers.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So yeah. The answer is no. But there's loads of brilliant things around, like how they calculated it. A 200-meter loop is too tight. Most high-speed trains are limited to vertical curves of radius to no shorter than 20 kilometers. They're not bendy enough.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It would create about 2 Gs of acceleration. It would not be comfortable. A 900-meter radius is still too big. Even with the engine at full power, the train wouldn't be able to get a quarter of the way around the loop before sliding back down. So yeah, then you stick a jet engine on it.
Love it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
there you go. So that's that one. Your next fun
My
fact
next
of
fun
Jerry.
fact. So, Ben and Jerry originally wanted to start a bagel company, but the partners ended up in the ice cream business because they could not afford a bagel machine. So Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield originally wanted to start a bagel business, but after looking into it, they discovered that the equipment for making bagels was too expensive. Instead, they decided to take a $5 correspondence course. $5 correspondence course in ice cream making from Penn State, and opened their first ice cream shop in a renovated gas station in Burlington, Vermont in 1978. So their iconic ice cream brand was born partly because bagel machines were out of their budget. There you go.
So how much was that? You said it was $5.
$5 in. So that would have been roughly 1978.
1978. Which would have been about $27.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cheap. That is very cheap. Just think how much money they've made now.
Well, what's the net worth of Ben and Jerry's now? Let me have a look.
$607 million. Although said to be more than 1 billion last year.
That's crazy.
But like, I have to admit, like, I don't buy Ben and Jerry's that often. Because I'm not supposed to eat stuff. I just want them to make more healthier ice cream.
Listen, if they made
I want ice cream
a
that isn't
healthy
4,000
ice cream,
calories.
everyone, how many?
Oh, like their tubs are about. I think their tubs are about 1,800 calories.
That's not too bad. Still under your recommended daily allowance.
So if we go for, well, hang on, where is it? Fish food was my favourite fish food. But it's not everybody's favourite. Ingredients. That's not one I want. There we go. So per 100 grams is 273. How much is in a tub?
500, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's what? Yeah, it's about 1,500 calories. Just less than 1,500 calories for the whole tub.
This is not bad.
Oh no, it says it here. 465 mil. Or, 400 grams. So, 1,200 calories for the whole tub.
That's nothing. It's fine.
Yeah, but when you can have a whole tub that's got 360 calories.
Listen, there are other things where you eat a lot less, it's got a hell of a lot more calories. So that's not
true.
bad.
That is very true.
That's actually not bad. Right. Hit me with your poignant question. If this involves trains, Dom, then I'm going to cancel it like Southwest Rail Service.
Yeah. If you call a random phone number and say, bless you, what are the chances that the person who answers just sneezed?
For God's sakes. Oh, I don't do statistics. I don't do anything related to maths. What are the chances? Do you know what? I'm going to have a guess. I'm going to actually have a proper stab at this. So, I'm actually going to do a calculation. So 24.
More silence.
60.
Sorry,
Swanee. Seconds. I reckon it's about one.
Oh, I lost the game, Swanee.
There you go. It's my fault last time. It's your fault this time. I reckon it's about roughly a 1 in 100,000 chance.
Ooh, it's a 1 in 40,000 chance.
Ooh. Okay.
Before you pick up, I'm going to read this one out because I think this is great. Before you pick up the phone, you should keep in mind that there's roughly a 1 in 1,000 million chance that the person you're calling just murdered someone. You may want to be careful when you hand out your blessings. However, given that sneezes are far more common than murders, it's probably good. There is a cited source, by the way, for that one.
I like the way you said it's
you're
probably
still much
good.
more you're still much more likely to get someone who sneezed than to catch a killer. So this strategy is not recommended. Mental note, I'm going to start saying that when people sneeze. Compared with the murder rate, the sneezing rate doesn't get much scholarly research. The most widely cited figure for the average sneeze frequency comes from a doctor interviewed by ABC News who pegged it at 200 sneezes per person per year. So it's about 1 in every 1.5 days.
Right.
One of the few scholarly sources of data is a study which monitored the sneezing of people undergoing an induced allergic reaction. To estimate the average sneezing rate, we can ignore all the real medical data that they were trying to gather and just look at their control group. This group was given no allergens at all. They just sat alone in a room for a total of 176 20-minute sessions. The subjects in the control group sneezed 4 times during those 58 or so hours, which assuming they only sneeze while awake, translates to about 400 sneezes per person per year.
Wow.
Google Scholar turns up 5,980 articles from 2012 that mention sneezing. If half of these articles are from the US and each one has an average of 4 authors, then if you dial the number, there's about a 1 in 10 million chance that you'll get someone who just that day published an article on sneezing. You ring them. On the other hand, about 60 people are killed by lightning in the US every year. That means that there's only a 1 in 10 billion chance, and that's a British 10 billion, so it's a 10,000 million chance that you'll call someone in the 30 seconds after they've been struck by lightning. Lastly, let's suppose that on the day this article was published, 5 people who read it decide to actually try this experiment. They call numbers all day. There's about a 1 in 30,000 chance that at some point during the day, one of them will get a busy signal because the person they've called is themselves calling a random stranger to say, bless you. And there's about a 1 in 10,000 million chance that 2 of them will simultaneously call each other. At this point, probability would have given up and they'll both be struck by lightning.
Love it.
So yeah, about 1 in 40,000. If you just call somebody up based on the projected number of people and the chance that they've just sneezed, with the time in the day, yeah, quite likely. 1 in 40,000.
Wow. Funnily enough, when I did a calculation, it came out to 1 in 86,000, and I thought, I don't know. And I actually went cautious with it and upped it to 100. So I rounded it up to 100.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, if you base it on the 2 kind of scholarly articles that we kind of read, that they kind of mentioned, one was kind of slightly higher and one was slightly lower, and he's taken the average in the middle. So, you could have been, that 86 would have probably been closer to the slightly higher one, or slightly lower occurrence of sneezes of people.
Yeah, exactly. Right, here's a fun fact. Sloths typically poop just once a week, and when they do, they can lose up to a third of their body weight in that single bathroom trip. They come down from the safety of the trees to do it on the ground, where they dig a small hole and cover it afterwards. This behaviour is risky because sloths move slowly and are vulnerable to predators like jaguars and eagles when on the ground. And no one is actually sure why they risk their lives to do this. Right? How bizarre is that?
Yeah, my other animal poop fact is wombats poop square.
Yes.
Or cubes.
Yeah, cubes. I mean...
We were talking about Uranus earlier.
Hey, you leave my anus out of this. Don't know why I said that in an Australian accent. China.
Oh dear, what's wrong with us?
Right, hit me with your poignant question.
If I jumped out of an airplane with a couple of tanks of helium and one huge uninflated balloon, then while falling I released the helium and filled the balloon, how long of a fall would I need in order for the balloon to slow me enough that I could land safely?
What? It depends on how quickly you can fill the balloon. Surely.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a massive, massive variable. You could have a huge tank of helium that only releases helium at like 10 particles a second. And it'll take years. So, I don't know. Go on, hit me, because I can't even get...
How far?
How far? What?
I mean... The first statement on this article is, as ridiculous as it sounds, this is sort of possible. Falling from great heights is dangerous. Citation needed.
Jesus wept. Doesn't surprise me.
I mean, it's quite a long one, so I'm not going to read this one out. But to be honest, when you think about it, if you had enough regular balloons, the air resistance alone from a balloon would probably eventually be enough to survive, right?
Yeah.
Right, because of the way that they malform.
Yeah.
Second of all, the thing that comes here, if you've got enough if you had enough helium to slow you enough down, the act of you having the helium in the canister in the first place would probably mean that you didn't accelerate fast enough. When you think about it, because you can't jump without the helium and then helium materialize. Right, it doesn't work. Right. It doesn't take too many helium balloons to lift a person. In 1982, Larry Walters flew across Los Angeles in a lawn chair lifted by weather balloons, eventually reaching several miles in altitude. After passing through LAX airspace, he descended by shooting some of the balloons with a pellet gun. On landing, Walters was arrested, although the authorities had some trouble figuring out what to charge him with.
That's insane. So it's like he actually recreated that that scene in the movie Up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So helium cylinders are smooth and often quite heavy, which means they have a high terminal velocity. You'll only have a few minutes to use up all the cylinders. As soon as you emptied one, you could drop it. You can't get around this problem by moving your starting point higher, since the upper atmosphere is pretty thin. Anything dropped from the stratosphere up will accelerate to very high speeds until it hits the lower atmosphere and then fall slowly the rest of the way. This is true of everything from small meteors to Felix Baumgarten.
Oh, yeah.
You ever think like that? But if you inflated the balloon too quickly, possibly by connecting many canisters to it at once, you'd be able to slow your fall. Just don't use too much helium or you'll end up floating at 16,000 feet like Larry Walters. While researching this article, I managed to lock up my copy of Mathematica several times on balloon-related differential equations, and subsequently got my IP address banned for making too many requests. The ban appeal form asked me to explain what task I was performing that necessitated so many queries, so I put this: calculating how many rental helium tanks you'd have to carry with you in order to inflate a balloon large enough to act as a parachute and slow your fall from a jet aircraft.
No way. That's mad.
So it doesn't really give a specific answer, but basically, yes. Is the answer. It would actually work.
And I didn't think that was possible. So fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play. Okay.
Right, last fact.
Last fact. In 2009, German authorities faced a legal dilemma involving identical twins, Hassan and Abbas O, who were suspects in a $6.8 million jewelry heist at the Kaufhaus der Westens department store in Berlin. Sorry, Samwise, if I've completely mispronounced that. Investigators found a glove.
Felix's name.
Yeah. Investigators found a glove with DNA evidence matching both twins, but because identical twins share nearly identical DNA, prosecutors couldn't determine which brother was at the crime scene. Since German law requires individual guilt to be proven beyond reasonable doubt, and there was no way to distinguish which twin was involved, both were released. The case drew significant attention for highlighting a loophole in forensic evidence when dealing with identical twins.
Yes. Because if they're identical, same DNA, same fingerprints and stuff like that. Nice. That's a good fact. I like that
it's
one.
A good
That's
one.
Cool.
Sorry, can I just cheese slice in one more? Because very, very quick.
Yeah.
It's just literally just one sentence. I'm just going to cheese slice this in. When do you think the last time all living humans were on the Earth simultaneously?
Don't know.
October the 31st, 2000. Since that day, there have always been astronauts in space.
Oh, okay. That's a cool fact. Now that's one I like. That's a cool fact.
Right?
That's cool.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've just re-listened to The Martian again. So
Oh, yeah.
I like that. Right. Last one then. I heard that bananas are radioactive. If they are radioactive, then they radiate energy. How many bananas would you need to power a house?
For fuck's sakes. To power a house, I would. What to power a house for a day? I suppose I don't know.
It doesn't specify about that, but
I would say a million.
It's a fair amount. It's a fair amount that they said with radiation, but basically, the radiation in a banana and the potential energy that it has is less than its calorific energy that you would get if you burnt it. Right. So,
Right.
Bananas are radioactive, but don't worry, it's fine. Because they contain potassium, some of which is the radioactive isotope potassium-40. The factoid about bananas' radioactivity was popularised by nuclear engineers trying to reassure people that small doses of radiation are normal and not necessarily dangerous. Of course, this thing can backfire. Thanks to their use as a radiation dose comparison, bananas now have a reputation as an especially radioactive food, but they're really not. The CRC Handbook of Radiation Measurement and Projection, the source of the original data behind the banana factoid, lists lots of other foods with more potassium-40 than bananas, including coconuts, peanuts, and sweet potatoes. A large cheese pizza might be 3 times more radioactive than a banana, and your own body emits a lot more radiation than either. So banana decays is 15 decays per second, a pizza is about 45, and we are about 3,500 decays. Potassium-40 decays slowly, with individual atoms sitting around for millions of or billions of years before quantum randomness finally triggers the decay. Imagine you're an atom of potassium. Every second you roll 21 dice. If they all come up as 6, you decay. There are gazillions of atoms of potassium-40 in a banana. In any given second, 10 or 15 of them make that all 6s roll, spit out a high-energy particle, and become stable calcium or argon. The high-energy particle released by the expiring potassium atom will promptly bonk into other atoms, leaving everything vibrating with extra heat and energy. In theory, you could use this heat energy to do work. That's how Mars rovers, Curiosity, and Perseverance are powered. They use a plutonium isotope 256, I believe. The Mars rovers use plutonium, which decays millions of times per second, releasing a lot of power. By comparison, the 15 decays per second from one banana work out to a couple of pictowatts of power, roughly the power consumption of a single human cell. Even if you captured that decay energy with perfect efficiency, powering a house would require about 300 quadrillion bananas.
300 quadrillion. So there's me going, 1 million? 300 quadrillion.
Which would form a heap large enough to bury most of the skyscrapers in New York City metro area.
That's ridiculous. Right.
But then the potassium-40 in bananas is a terrible source of energy, but that's okay, because you know what's a great energy source? The banana itself. A banana contains 100 calories of food energy, and if you incinerate whole bananas as fuels, it would only take about 10 bunches per day to keep your house running.
Wow.
So there
we
you go.
could power.
It does go into a bit more.
Bananas. Wow.
If you powered a lot of bananas, they start to release that chemical energy one way or another. The sun-baked banana pile would start to rot. The heat from the bananas decomposing in the atmosphere would immediately swamp the heat from radioactivity. The sun-dried bananas would crack and eventually burn. Decomposition of anaerobic bacteria deep in the pile would produce various gases, including highly flammable methane. As they bubbled up to the surface of the burning banana swamp, they would ignite. Gas buildup from food waste is a major industrial explosive hazard. So don't worry about the radioactivity of bananas. It's the rest of the bananas the real threat. But if you're willing to risk the danger, you could power a lot more than just your house. With a modest weekly supply of bananas, enough to cover Liberty Island in New York City, you could power the entire city.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah,
nice.
And there's some cool animations of bananas blowing up.
Well, why not?
So yeah,
cool.
I think we're at the end of the podcast, Jerry.
I think it is.
What a cracking podcast! I've got one more question for you.
I know exactly
what are your final thoughts?
I know exactly what the question is. Exactly what the question is, and I'm going to keep stalling by saying this. So that I think of something. My final thoughts. Final thoughts are that facts
Sorry,
are
Swanee.
fun. There you go. No,
Welcome to Fun with Flags.
I think my final thoughts are: it's amazing how many times in this one podcast we said China in that way. That was quite amazing because that came up a lot, and I don't know why. Congratulations.
Yeah, and that came up everything from F1 to Easter to the fun facts.
Yeah. China. Congratulations on the purchase. Which, touch wood, everything goes through nice and smoothly, but purchase of your house. It's just fantastic, Tom. And I'm genuinely so happy for you because it's going to, I think that'll make a big difference to your life. Debt, 40-year mortgage to one side, it'll make a big difference to your life in a positive way. And yeah, it's just been a brilliant podcast. Nice and chilled out, nice and relaxed. Yeah. We've had bants, we've had chats, we've gone on tangents. I've loved it. It's been great. Yeah, it's
Went
been
like
great.
this, didn't it?
Yeah.
And sorry, Swanee, for the silences that we had at the end of those ones.
What
What I
you?
love is we've called out. Well, my final thoughts is what I've loved about this podcast is we've called out quite a few of the guests that we've had on recently.
Yeah.
Everybody from our friends who are teachers to Swanee and
Innovate.
him potentially losing the game again.
Yeah.
To to Laura and Samwise for getting us to do the science experiments and checking that our German grammar was correct. So my final thoughts are, even though we had no guest on this week, all of our guests have been in our mind as we've gone through it.
Exactly.
We actually don't have much planned coming up. We're going to keep that all a secret. We're going to be hitting 4 years of podcasts.
That's incredible.
4 years. What's wrong with us? So yeah, we need some more ideas. We need some more guests.
Yeah, we did. Well, yes. So Ian is one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pork scratchings.
Yeah, codename pork scratching as well. He was talking to me the other day actually about. He said, "Oh, but tomatoes are fruit. So you eat pizzas. So you're having fruit on. Whenever you make a pasta sauce, or you're having pizza." And I'm like, no, that doesn't. I'm not.
That's a very tenuous
You're
link.
so tenuous.
Love it.
I thought I'm not having
Needs
that.
to come on the podcast.
I'm not having that. I was like, no way. Because then I said,
that you can't throw that in last
seriously.
minute.
I was like, no. So yeah, we do need to get him on the podcast. He needs to explain his infatuation with putting eggs on everything. So he's
Chocolate eggs?
no, but he says like you have to try egg on a pizza and egg in a burger.
I've had egg on a pizza.
Yeah, well, I have as
I've
well.
had egg on a
And it's okay, but I don't know. He just seems to think that it takes everything to a whole new level, and I'm not sure about that. So
Bacon, fried egg, butter, white bread.
yeah, that's amazing. Okay, but that I get. But
No sauce. Condiments are a sin against men.
we've had this conversation. It's one of our earliest conversations actually around
Yes.
food. Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
We could divulge into
We
way
could
more
do,
stuff,
yeah, we
couldn't
could
we?
do, yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, listening. Please give us 5-star rating, thumbs up, subscribe, all the usual bantery bits that they try to put in YouTube videos. We've been very consistent this year, not much growth, but I'm okay with that because it never was about the growth. I'm waiting for something to go viral and to get a few more. Jerry, have a great day off tomorrow.
Thank you.
I shall be thinking of you when I'm working.
I'll be thinking of you whilst I'm not working. You nutter. Can't believe you're working. Although I do get the logic behind that. But yeah. Okay. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you. And shall see you all on the next podcast.
Take care, everyone.